All right, we are ready to start our meeting. It's great to see so many people with us this evening. Thank you for being here. Today is Tuesday, May 19th, and we are here for a special evening meeting, and then we'll go into our regular meeting at 6 o'clock. So, we are very happy that you're all here, and our first order of business is a call to the board to see who's all here. So we've got roll call. My name is Patrice Horseman. I'm the supervisor for District 1. I'm also chair of the board. District 2.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jeronimo Vasquez. I'm supervisor for District 2 and current vice chair.
District 3.
Tammy Ontiveros, District 3.
District 4.
Yate, thank you for being here this evening with all of us here, and we hope you stay throughout the meeting. But thank you so much for being here. Judy B. Gay, Supervisor, District 4.
And district number 5. All right. And our next order of business is to honor our nation, honor our country. Those who can, please stand to say the Pledge of Allegiance. Call to the public and members of the community, both here and also online. This is a time for you to address the Board of Supervisors. If you have comments, concerns, questions, this is a time for you to be able to address the board. Because this is not set forth in the agenda, the open meeting law requires that we cannot respond or enter into a discussion. We ask that you keep your comments, questions, concerns to 3 minutes. This is a public meeting, and so we ask that you are respectful. And with that, at this point, I'm going to turn it over to our clerk to have her explain how you can join us for the call to the public.
Thank you, Chair Horseman. At this time, if there's anyone here that would like to provide a comment, we have comment cards by the door, and you can fill those out. We've got a couple already here. And then we'll also just turn it over if there's anyone else in the room that would like to speak. If you're watching on the YouTube stream, you can email your comment to boardcomments@coconino.az.gov. And we do have Senator Wendy Rogers here to speak during call to the public. We will provide 3 minutes on the clock. And if you could just turn on the microphone when you get up to the podium.
Senator Rogers, it's our pleasure to have you here with us to the board. We appreciate you joining us in call to the public. And as I said to you, and I'll say it publicly, we would love to have you on the agenda so that we can really engage in a discussion. I know there's a lot of things that are near and dear to our heart and yours, and we would love to have a discussion on that. So, but thank you for being with us this evening. So, Senator Rogers.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members, distinguished guests. I'm Wendy Rogers. I'm here from the Arizona Senate. We are still in session. I'll be back on the floor next week. This is my home, and Madam Chair is my supervisor. So
Isn't she lucky?
as some of you know, I've had the honor to sort of carry separate infrastructure bills to aid Coconino County, one of which is to improve State Route 64 from Williams to the Grand Canyon. That's an ongoing infrastructure upgrade from a 2023 appropriation. And then, of course, I carried a bill to continue that. We have no money, however. So you asked me, well, what's the use? You have to still run a bill so that we can incrementally advance our cause year to year. So next year, I will run that bill again, but it will have more weight and heft and gravitas because we've made it an issue. Similarly, Route 66 needs about $33 million, and that's a 10-year project, and I put in a bill for that. We also are happy that the bill that I put in to reopen the Pioneer Museum in Flagstaff was accepted, and that'll be reopening here shortly. Rodeo Drive, also in Williams, is another piece of legislation. Near term, I was just briefed this afternoon as I drove up here by the head of Department of Child Services that the tragic death of the Havasupai baby, where the mother brought the baby who had died to the hospital in Flagstaff. There was an erroneous news report last night here in the media from Fox News that I was asked to correct. And the news said that DCS had taken the child from the tribe. That's actually false. The tribe had custody of the child. So they asked me to get that word out to the community. And by the way, that's the norm, is if a child is a tribal child, deference is given immediately and first and foremost to the tribe. Lastly, I'll say that I participated in a press conference yesterday down at the Capitol to do with Access. Access has had a history recently of fraud and corruption. And this has been an ongoing situation where bad actors were discovered initially, and then Access clamped down, and it was an overreaction, if I could just sort of summarize. And what it did was it made it so that legitimate providers could not be paid. And so this is an ongoing wrangling of trying to get things back on track. The Senate, the Arizona Senate, has taken the lead on this to put forward legislation we hope the governor will sign, which will right things back on track. So thank you for having me. I want to just acknowledge the fact that Supervisor Ontiveros gave me this tonight. And I want you to know that you're all welcome to visit me at the Capitol. I really do show people a good time. And you will see this prominently displayed in a case in my office where I told Supervisor Ontiveros I only put coins in there of the district. And so this will have a very prominent place. And I want to thank you, supervisors who come down to the Capitol, because I always tell folks at the Senate, whoever comes to visit me, they've come a really long way, because I cover 4 counties. I cover from Flagstaff all the way down to the exurbs of Tucson, Oracle. So that's why I have an airplane. I'm a retired Air Force pilot. Thank you very much. God bless America.
Thank you for being with us. All right, we're going to proceed with our call to the public. Are there other items here for call to the public?
Yes, Chair Horseman, we do have Kinsey Catrone, I think it is. If you want to come on up to the podium, and we will provide 3 minutes on the clock. If you could just please make sure the microphone is on.
Hi, hello. My name is Kenzie Catroni. I work in rescue in this community. I work for Art Cat Sanctuary. I am just here to speak a little bit on the merger between High Country Humane and Coconino Humane. If you care about the welfare of animals in our community, that merger would not have happened. It was a hostile takeover, was not a friendly takeover. The entire staff of Coconino was fired. Please explain how that was a friendly takeover. I have worked with community members who cannot be here, who also feel the way that I do, in that High Country Humane does not look out for the betterment of animals in our community like Coconino Humane does. Coconino Humane actually works with other agencies in northern Arizona, unlike High Country Humane. To give you a small example, I drove 4 hours out to the border of Arizona and New Mexico, out to Fort Defiance. Within a couple minutes of me calling Coconino Humane to say that I have a puppy who needs to be pulled off the euthanasia list, they said yes. That doesn't happen with High Country Humane. They don't work with us. They don't work with Tuba City. They don't work with people on the reservation. Coconino Humane does that work. I can vouch for that. Our community members can vouch for that. And if you care about the well-being of animals in our community, this merger would not have happened. That's all.
Thank you for your comments. Any other members?
Yes, we have Susan Marie. If you can come, Maru, you can come up to the podium. We'll provide 3 minutes on the clock.
Okay, I'm Susan Maru, founder of the Ark Cat Sanctuary. I'm here mainly to kind of bring perspective to a situation that is really distorted, so we'll go for it. We're in our 20th year here, and we take in about 750 cats a year. And we're here to voice our serious concerns with High Country Humane's secret and hostile takeover of Coconino Humane Association. The merger was presented in the newspaper as being a happy cooperative joining of two organizations holding shared values to improve animal welfare in our community. Instead, their priorities are clearly very different, as evidenced by their mission statements. The merger was done in secret, behind closed doors, with a very recently installed CHA board of directors with questionable motives, and is potentially catastrophic for the animals and people of our community. In the 7 years since High Country took over the contracts, besides the near doubling of the annual shelter contract budget, the big difference is how the shelters are being operated. While they had the contract, Coconino Humane Association ran as an open admission shelter, accepting approximately 5,000 animals a year. High Country Humane is being operated as a managed admission shelter, only accepting about 3,000 animals a year. Per their annual capacity is stated to be 2,500 animals. That is a 200 or 2,000 animal deficit of actual intake capacity with reference to the community needs. The only reason this has been working in our community is because Coconino Humane has been picking up the slack and accepting nearly 2,000 animals a year. How does High Country Humane taking over the Coconino facility and their $5,000 bank account and closing down the clinic that they established in 2024 that served the public and firing half the staff going to improve the sheltering situation in our community? To make matters even worse, the people that were fired were the ones that know how to run the emergency services when we have a natural disaster here. And that's when dealing with the animals when they're called upon with livestock, which High Country Humane has never done. They have no idea how to do that. I urge the county to take a long, hard look at the actual shelter contract requirements versus what High Country Humane is doing and step in to ensure that they accept the responsibility for the additional 2,000 animals and people that are not going to be served if they don't do this. So I'm looking to you guys to do that. Coconino was intaking as well as making sure to have plans in place for handling the needed emergency animal sheltering services. They took, High Country Humane took Coconino's cash and their shelter facility and should be required to take on the additional 2,000 animals a year. The welfare of the animals and the people in this community depend on the insistence that they take not just the shelter and the money, but they take the load. Thank you for hearing us out. I'm very, very concerned about this. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your comments.
Sherry Schultz?
Oh, Elaine?
Okay. If you can
Okay.
please state your name for our minutes.
My name is Elaine Hughes. I'm retired and have volunteered as a cat foster care and Flagstaff for 15 years. Over the years, I've experienced the highs and lows of relations between the animal care organizations and Flagstaff. While I have great respect for those doing the grunt work, it seems that there was not always respect between the organizations and more competition than cooperation. I was left wondering which was more important, the animals or the human egos. I was particularly disturbed when I read about the merger of Coconino Humane Association and High Country in the Arizona Daily Sun. From my knowledge of the parties, I believe this is not a merger but a hostile takeover of CHA by High Country. I'm appalled that the CHA board didn't have enough respect for its staff to get them involved before the final decision was made. Seeing the glum faces of the CHA staff recently and now hearing that half the staff at CHA has been laid off and none at High Country, all I can say is shame on the CHA board. Both High Country and the CHA board should have been transparent with the CHA staff and the Flagstaff community at large. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else, please?
Jerry Schultz, if you want to come on up to the podium, and we'll set the clock for 3 minutes.
Hi, my name is Sherry Schultz. I am a volunteer for the Art Cat Sanctuary, and one of the employees had some comments to state, so she couldn't be here tonight, so she sent them up to us. Her comments are High Country Humane are contracted by Coconino County, the second largest county in the U.S., which is largely comprised of the Navajo Nation, an area where there is such a large amount of homeless and suffering animals. Small rescues on the nation are regularly doing what they can to help. The small rescues continue to provide increased low to no cost spay-neuter clinics, low to no cost fee vaccination clinics, education, and helping families in the remote locations. But High Country Humane is contracted to do nothing and makes no effort to provide help out to the Navajo Nation. If anything, they make it more difficult for the residents to get strays accepted. High Country Humane has consistently made it difficult to rescue animals in that area of the county. As a rescue, High Country will not accept animals from us. People, families that find and want to surrender stray animals are limited to a 5-day rule. If you have that animal for 5 days or longer, it is no longer deemed a stray, and you are responsible. Consider that these are people that live in remote areas, many without electricity, running water, or easy transportation. We, as rescues, are grateful if they can take care of an animal for 5 days, giving us time to arrange transport. But High Country will refuse the animal from the county residents as a stray after 5 days, instead charging them a surrender fee, which they don't have as well. I agree with all of those thoughts, as well as all that the ARC and Coconino work together to try and rescue. We concentrate on cats, of course, but to rescue the animals and help all of the people in Coconino County. Thank you for hearing us.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else?
We do not have any comment cards, and there are no comments in our inbox, but if there's anyone here that didn't have a chance to fill out a comment card that would like to come up at this time and provide comments, you're welcome to come up to the podium, and we'll provide 3 minutes for you to speak.
All right. Well, with that, obviously this is not on the agenda, so it is not appropriate for us to respond. Other than I will make a request that administration contact HCH and CHA, who's ever left there, and let them know, given the fact that Coconino County does not have any maintenance, supervision, or operation with HCH or CHA, and given the fact that they are their own private nonprofit organizations with their own boards, I think it's going to be important that we relay the information that was provided to us to them and to their boards for hopefully a response to these folks. So if you could please take care of that, County Manager.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Duly noted, will do.
All right. With that, I am going to change a little bit our agenda because I see we have a very important person in the room. Brian, it is always wonderful to see you. I've been watching you and your wife on Facebook as you've been traveling around and looking like you are truly enjoying your retirement. So Brian Klimowski is with us, and so I hope the board will allow me an opportunity to kind of move ahead on the agenda to item number 2. And this is consideration and possible action to approve a proclamation commending Brian Klimowski's prominent National Weather Service career and, quite frankly, his distinguished service to Coconino County, the staff here at Coconino County, and everybody in our community. We have relied on you for decades, and it's fun to see you enjoying yourself out there in the public. Please keep posting those photos. We're living through you now, okay? So with that, I'm going to turn this over to read the proclamation to our emergency manager director. So Tim, please.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. I would like to say I think we were able to keep this surprise based on Brian's face coming in, but it's my honor to read the proclamation commending Brian Klimowski's prominent National Weather Service career. So whereas Brian Klimowski began his career at the National Weather Service on September 18, 1995, serving as a Science and Operations Officer in Rapid City, South Dakota. And whereas on April 6, 2003, Brian joined the National Weather Service office in Flagstaff as meteorologist in charge, a position he faithfully held for 23 years. And whereas Brian Klimowski dedicated over 30 years of service to the National Weather Service, culminating in his retirement on March 31st, 2026. And whereas throughout his tenure in Flagstaff, Brian Klimowski demonstrated exceptional leadership by hiring and mentoring more than 60 staff members who continue to serve the residents of Coconino County and communities across the country. And whereas Brian Klimowski's legacy is defined by a rare combination of expertise, integrity, and leadership, consistently prioritizing public safety and ensuring that his team and partners were equipped with the tools and information necessary to protect lives and property. And whereas Brian Klimowski provided leadership and guidance during numerous significant emergency events, including the 2009 Sedona flash flooding, the 2010 and 2023 major winter storms, the 2010 Schultz fire and flooding, the 2014 slide fire and flooding, the 2019 museum fire and flooding, the 2022 tunnel fire and flooding, and the 2022 pipeline fire and flooding. And whereas during the times of crisis and severe weather, Klimowski maintained a steady, dependable presence, exemplifying professionalism and dedication when it mattered most. And whereas his contributions have had a lasting impact on the safety, preparedness, and resilience of the communities he served. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the Coconino County Board of Supervisors hereby commends Brian Klimowski for his outstanding career, dedicated public service, and lasting contributions to the National Weather Service and the residents of Coconino County. The board extends its sincere gratitude and best wishes to Brian Klimowski's well-earned retirement. Signed and sealed this 19th day of May, 2026.
Well, and I know there will be some comments, and I also know that we would like to have a photo taken. So we would like to, after we get through with our comments, go to the other side of the wall here so we can take some picture and provide the proclamation. Hopefully that'll be okay for you. So, but before we get there, we need a motion to approve this proclamation as read, commending Brian Klimowski's prominent National Weather Service career. Do I have a motion?
I move that we approve the proclamation.
We have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's unanimous. So and really, it's great for you to be here. You know, we're going to, don't worry, okay? Just you calm. No, we will. So, but we also have a special presentation for you. So, from the Board of Supervisors. But before we get there, or maybe we should just do it now. Is that what you want me to do? On top of Old Smoky, on top of everything, including this proclamation, the Board of Supervisors has a special award. It's called the Medal of Merit. The Medal of Merit hasn't been given very many times. It is reserved for individuals that have gone over and above in their work and commitment to the people here in Coconino County and their work and commitment to the Board of Supervisors. Certainly, Brian, everything you have done, you have always put us first. You have been there through thick and thin. You were there at the Emergency Operations Center with our staff and with the emergency responders, with so many of the board members here during some of the worst times here in Coconino County. And you were there giving hope. You were there giving important information. You were there absolutely showing the importance of a uniform response, and a response based on science, a response based on a commitment for the health and safety of our community. So again, a huge thank you to you, and the Board of Supervisors has a Medal of Merit that we would like to award you with, and we'll probably, since we probably want the whole board here with this, we'll do it when we get to the other side here of our wall. But we so appreciate everything you've done. We wish you and your wife happy trails, happy travels. You deserve it. And you know you're always going to have a place here in Coconino County and a place in our hearts. So thank you for everything you've done. Really, thank you. And other board members, I'm sure, have some comments. Supervisor Fowler.
Well, Brian, you were here when I was first elected. We've gone through all of those lists that was just spelled out, and you were, at the first time into the Schultz fire, we all kind of didn't know where our seats were. And we learned together through this process, and you were with us the whole time. And you really adjusted how you and just the weather service, all of the staff adjusted how you were working with the county and other partners. And you even went out to, with the Antelope Canyons and creating a special website for them. So I really want to just appreciate you just learning with us, being with us, and teaching us really about the weather and how to read certain things. And so the weather patterns that came through, I just want to thank you for all that you have done, and just really appreciate your family for supporting you, because all those times you were there long hours just right beside our staff. So I just want to thank you for being with us and being by our side through the whole process. Really appreciate everything. Thank you. And I know the Board of Supervisors, former Board of Supervisors, they'd be saying the same thing. So I want to thank you on their behalf as well. Thank you.
Supervisor Vasquez.
Yes, first off, congratulations on your retirement, and thank you for all your service. 23 years is a long time, and I've been in this role 5 years, and through many fires and many floods, where your steady, calm presence in the briefings in the morning were a sense of calm in moments when we were a little scared there. And so just really appreciate your professionalism and your leadership over the last, for me, 5 years, but really the last 23 years. And as you can see with the Medal of Merit, you left a lasting impression on Coconino County and our emergency management team, and we're just really grateful for you and wanted to be able to honor you in this way. So thank you for your presence and thank you for your service.
Supervisor Begay.
Hi, Brian. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the years of service that you gave to Coconino County. And I remember that I was on the board probably the second year. Then we had to go through some of these fires and floods, or the tail end of it. But you gave me that Weather Service 101. I was really looking at everything. We were in down by King Street. And then so it was just, and I saw all these gadgets and everything was moving about. And I said, what is this? And what is this? And what is that? And, I learned something from that, and just like others are saying, you helped us to grow, and we probably did the same from here as a board. And I just want to say thank you so much for your dedicated services And I do agree with all the comments that my colleagues are making here, because you were very devoted. You like what you were doing, and in order to be successful, you have to like what you're doing. And that way, you pay attention to it and you treasure it, and you take care of it. So just want to say thank you, and be careful out there, be safe, and congratulations. And we're going to get a picture with you. So I'm so glad we're going to be doing that. Thank you so much.
Supervisor Ontiveros.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Klimowski, we have not met. I took office on January 1st, 2025, and we haven't had a disaster during that time period. So, yeah, so since January 1st, 2025, I want to be very specific in that. So as a result of that, our paths did not cross. I was not here during the fires and during the flooding. But I will tell you that your reputation preceded you. I have heard so much about you and what a wonderful individual you are, both professionally and personally. And so it's nice meeting you tonight. And I will have to tell you that I completely concur with the comments that my fellow supervisors have said. I have been a recipient of your service because I have been a lifelong resident, of course, in this area. So thank you for everything that you have done on behalf of Coconino County.
Chair Lucinda is on and wanted to make a, she's on virtually.
And by the way, Brian, you might have some words for us as well. Okay, so come on up. Let's have Lucinda, and then we'll hear from you, and Tim may have some words of wisdom as well. So Lucinda, thanks for being on, and we have Brian's up here, and he's seeing you. So feel free.
Fantastic. Thank you, Madam Chair, and Brian, it's wonderful to see you. I think back about, we've now worked pretty closely together since, certainly since 2010 and even prior to that. And, I think back about how fundamental and how influential you have been in everything related to weather and how the county performs its various roles and responsibilities over that period of time, and certainly prior to that as well. The capacity that we've developed, the recognition that we've received nationally for our post-wildfire flooding processes across the board, you have contributed to those in ways that people have no idea, and just immeasurable. And that you took the time and effort and really became an expert, and you are now a national expert in how do we predict weather in those types of dynamics, very dynamic situations, and how do we apply that to protect the public. And you worked hand in hand with us on our flood warning system. I can say very confidently, having been to even more recently a number of conferences where we're getting a lot of questions about our system and what we've done historically, or particularly over the last 16 years, and what we've developed and how does that work. And one of the key messages that always gets developed is you have to have a very strong working relationship with the National Weather Service. But you brought to that strong relationship by developing your team, you being on the front lines, and advising us and advising your team and working through whatever issues did come up, and always as a true and trusted partner. And I can't thank you enough for that. Frankly, shudder to think about the lives that frankly we would have lost if we hadn't been able to do what we've done with your guidance and your support and partnership over the last 16 years. So, wish you just a tremendous, future, and want to thank you for the specialized products you've created. And this also goes beyond the flooding. As you know, I served as public works director and as deputy public works director, and the winter season is as challenging and can be very, very challenging as it can be for flooding. And the many, many times that you supported me personally and the community in getting out to public meetings and helping people understand and really explaining, like, the radar, like, what does radar mean? What does this rainfall mean? What does this snowfall mean? And really helping people understand what was occurring and what created the dynamics. And I remember back in 2013, we had that succession of 350 to 100-year rainfall events just north of Flagstaff. And I think we did 3 or 4 public meetings in series there to really help people. And you were, again, fundamental to helping people understand what actually happened and what didn't happen. And again, I can't thank you enough. And your partnership and our friendship and relationship and answering my questions and helping me understand over the years has just been tremendous. So I wish you the greatest. I don't think you're probably going to retire. You got a lot of energy and you got a lot of love for life, and go out and have a great time. And thank you again for all your service and support of all of the county teams.
I have to add the website and the social media development that really expand through the years that we all rely on. So just have a wonderful, wonderful retirement and adventurous retirement you're already having.
Thank you.
So we have, Tim wants to say and then we're turning it unless.
No, don't go anywhere. Madam Chair, I'll be brief. I've had the opportunity to stand before the board over this spring and talk about emergency management in different capacities. And one of the big common themes we have are relationships. And how important relationships are to being able to protect the community, and make sure the community is more resilient to the impacts of disasters. And you'll see in just about every presentation we do, we talk about the relationships we have with the National Weather Service. And a lot of that is through Brian's leadership from the years there, not only being there to do that work, but to instilling that same motivation in the staff. A couple of them who are here tonight. And I think also in additional relationships comes trust. And you have all been a benefit of that trust that I have and that we've had in Brian. We joke about that we would always see like our winter storms or monsoon rains that, we get the forecast and I never really started to worry about it until I got a phone call from Brian. And usually when Brian calls and says, hey, did you see our forecast? Okay, well, now we need to start paying attention. So until Brian called, we didn't really get too worked up about it, which is often how you guys respond when I call you. But that's the same.
But for different reasons.
But just that that trust factor of when someone calls and says, hey, you guys need to take a look at this, here's what we're looking at. We really started to focus our operational response to that based on the guidance that we got from them. That trust was there, and it's greatly appreciated. So we appreciate Brian and his leadership and the legacy that he leaves. So.
Brian, finally we get to hear from you.
Madam Chair, Vice Chair, Supervisors, I'm not often speechless. My staff knows that well. But I'm deeply honored, surprised. I was supposed to be on a date with my wife tonight, and we came here. So, no, thank you. Thank you. Let me tell you, Coconino County is special. I mentioned the relationships, the trust. It's something that runs deep here. It's a part of our foundation. It's a part of our legacy. In that, interagency communications for the protection of life and property is valued so deeply here. You just feel it. When I came in 2003, I felt it immediately. It's like it was there. Those seeds were starting to grow. And through the, those that served the community through the years have just developed it and fostered it. And it has continued to grow for the protection of lives and property. And it's exciting to see. It's hard to leave. I'll be honest. It is hard to retire at such an exciting time when, things are moving so well as far as what the National Weather Service is doing, what we're all doing for our constituents. I thank you for this time so much. I'm not sure what to say other than thank you for allowing us to establish the relationships we could. And let me tell you, my job is made easier because of those that work in the National Weather Service office. They do such an amazing job. They are the foundation of everything we do, and almost everything you mentioned, from social media to the meetings with the communities. Those all have roots and often very active participation in most of our other staff. They love doing the job they do, being up 24 hours a day, being awakened. I could go on, but I won't. I will just say it's a special community at the National Weather Service Flagstaff. It's going to continue to be that way. The leadership is so solid there, and the relationships with all of you is so important. So thank you for this time. Thank you. Thank you. And I look forward to being a part of this community for a long time. We're not going anywhere.
We so appreciate that too. And thank you. And with that, I think we need a photo, if you wouldn't mind, and we'd love to give you your Medal of Merit. Let's go to the other side. also discuss on wonderful events. And so we're back. I'm on. Sorry about that. We're going to go ahead and go off the agenda again. I am going to ask, because there are some people here who are here in support and as part of our consent agenda. So I am going to, at this time, go to our consent agenda. And members of the public, our consent agenda are matters that are more administrative or ministerial in nature. They can be handled through one motion and one vote. These are usually done without discussion. On the other hand, we, the board, have an opportunity to remove items from the consent agenda that we would like to discuss, in which case these items will be taken individually with an individual motion and a vote and an opportunity for discussion. So with that, I'm going to ask the members of the board, my colleagues, if there are any items to remove from our consent agenda, items 4 through 26. And I am going to ask to remove item number 6. Any other items to remove?
Item number 7, please.
Item 7, any other items to remove? All right, then I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda exclusive of items 6 and 7.
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, it has passed. We're going back to item 6. Consideration of possible action to approve a funding agreement with Flagstaff Friends of Traditional Music, Inc. to provide $1,500 from District 1's Community Initiative Funds to sponsor Pickin' in the Pines Music Festival. And with that, I know Julie Sullivan is here with us this evening. So Julie, come on up. I'm first going to have a discussion on this. And for those of you, unless you've been living under a rock, you know what Pickin' in the Pines is. This is their 20th year. They have really brought some of the very best traditional and bluegrass music to Coconino County, quite frankly, into Arizona. And we are so pleased that we here in Coconino County can help sponsor their 20th year of Pickin' in the Pines. And with that, Julie Sullivan, who was instrumental from the very, very early moments of both Friends of Traditional Music and also Pickin', is going to give us a little bit of an update on this year's Pickin' in the Pines. Julie, thank you for being with us, and thank you for being patient.
Oh, that was delightful to experience that, the honor that you bestowed upon Brian. So first of all, thank you all for your service to our county, and I appreciate being here on behalf of Flagstaff Friends of Traditional Music. We're a nonprofit 501c3 organization, and we're the mother of Pickin' in the Pines, which, as Patrice mentioned, is in our 20th year. We missed just 1 year for COVID, and fortunately, because of the support from the county, from the city, from the BB&B tax funds, from many grants we received, arts funding from the state. I was hoping that Wendy might be here and I could say, hey, how about getting the state to give us a little money? Also, other community members have supported us. We've been able to be very successful and have enough of a cushion to have survived COVID and still be thriving. So I thank you all and to our community for that. This year, our 20th year, is very exciting for us that we have survived. But I did want to speak a little bit about the history, just briefly, that if it wasn't for the county, if it wasn't for Todd Grave, who was at the time the head of the county parks and rec, who approached Flagstaff Friends of Traditional Music before the amphitheater was actually built. And he had a love of bluegrass and reached out to us and asked us if we would be interested in creating a festival. And it had been on our minds to create something unique in Flagstaff. And so with his support and the support and the actual creation of the amphitheater, which was just brilliant. It's an incredible resource for our community, cultural resource, and the fact that we have the campground. So we were able to create this entire experience that is still going strong after 20 years. And so we thank you so much. We have a very powerful lineup this year. We also have a Thursday night event, which is free to the public, and our workshop and educational stage, which is in the quad area. Everything that we present that's educational, that's a part of our festival, is open to the public. And these renowned musicians that we bring in from all over the country to perform give workshops and do sort of mini presentations and performances on that side stage. That's currently my stage where my passion is. I have stepped back from the main stage. I'm here on behalf of our executive directors, Linda Mack and Teresa Wayne, who thank you also. And I hope you will all attend our festival this year.
Go ahead and give us the dates and tell us how we can get our tickets.
The dates are September, the third weekend. You were going to ask me this, and I should have looked up the exact date. It's the, thank you, the 18th through the 20th. It's always the second weekend after Labor Day, and you can go to our website, which is pickininthepines.org, and tickets are on sale now. There is still camping available, and I highly recommend that even if you live in town, camping is really fun because that's where all of the music, just people playing music together under the stars in the woods with a sort of common ground and camaraderie that transcends language. And everyone's, whatever your political beliefs, your religious beliefs, your cultural beliefs, everyone comes together in the spirit of playing music, and hopefully we have more of that in our
It's
lives.
really become one of the premier music events here in Coconino County. So I remember the days, the early days, when there was a few hundred people at Pickin, and now we have, 3,300 attendees, and it's growing stronger and more every year. And people come from all over the state,
They come
really
from all over the
country.
world
Yeah,
now,
all
which is
over the
really
world.
amazing and wonderful.
And,
So
and it's lovely, and we appreciate being able to provide this for our community and our visitors. So
yes,
thank you for all you do for us as
thank
well.
you. Thank you all for supporting us.
Any other comments, Supervisor Fowler?
Yeah, thank you for hosting it every year. It's just such a great event. One year I won the banjo.
You did?
did.
Oh, that's great. Are you playing it?
Trying.
Well, come to one of our educational free workshops, and I'm sure there'll be a banjo demonstration. That's wonderful, Helena.
All right, are there any other comments? Otherwise, I'd entertain a motion to approve the funding from District 1's Community Initiative Fund to Pickin' in the Pines and Flagstaff Friends of Traditional Music. Do I have a motion?
I move that we approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
It is unanimous, and thank you for
Thank
being
you.
with us.
Thank you all so much.
We look forward to
Appreciate
seeing
all
you.
your
All right, now we have item number 7, consideration of possible action to approve an amended intergovernmental agreement with the City of Flag to enable Northern Arizona University to formally join the Flagstaff Metropolitan Planning Organization, also known as MetroPlan, to make necessary updates and conforming changes. And I will turn this to County Manager, but I also see that we have Ms. MetroPlan herself, so.
Welcome
Really-
to the podium, Kate Morley, MetroPlan.
Thank you, Chair, members of the board. It always feels a little bit like home to be here. I'm Kate Morley, the Executive Director of MetroPlan, and I'm excited for the board to consider this item tonight. Having NAU join MetroPlan is really important to our mission of collaborative transportation planning, setting priorities, and then identifying funding to make those priorities a reality. As we know, NAU is a major landholder in town. They run a transit system. They have roads. They have sidewalks. They have multi-use paths, and they're really our model for how to be multimodal within the MetroPlan region. So we're very excited that after several years of conversation with NAU, they have said that they are interested in being members of the board, and we're excited for you to consider this item tonight. The council did just hear this item about 30 minutes ago, and they did approve it, so.
And we have, of course, Supervisor Vasquez has been kind of our transportation expert, and also is our board member for Metroplan. Maybe you have some comments?
Yeah, just really excited for the work that's been happening, and the NAU will be a full member. And want to thank my colleague Supervisor Begay for also being on Metroplan and attending those meetings. And it's really important that NAU is part of Metroplan as we plan, because NAU as a state institution doesn't have all the same regulations that we do. So it's important that we're all on the same page. Otherwise, they could do their planning in one way and we would do it another, and it wouldn't quite fit. And so this is great in aligning our planning moving forward for our transportation issues. So thank you, Kate, for being here today, and thank you, Metroplan, for all the hard work.
Supervisor Begay, you have some comments?
Yes. Thank you, Kate. Thank you for being here. And I just want to say thank you for Metroplan, being an executive director in there, and being a member. I really enjoy being a member and like to go to those meetings. And I just want to say that, as I speak, sometimes I always say, even anywhere in any of the meetings, that we need to get everyone involved. And I'm really glad that this is happening with NAU and people that are in the communities. They should be able to work with one another, be there for one another, and help one another, on certain things, and educate, especially, because we're all running different organizations, and things are happening. So I just want to say thank you for your leadership. And then, and I just want to also say that, Metroplan is expanding. And, we just got done doing some more approvals, for this items that have come before us last week, I think it was. So, it's exciting for me too. So thank you so much.
Right. So with that, I would entertain a motion to approve the amended intergovernmental agreement with the City of Flag to enable Northern Arizona University to formally join the Metro Planning Organization.
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. Kate, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it. Good to see you. All right, so we are moving along, and as I threw us out of our agenda, we're going to go back. We have as an item, and before we get to the first item that we're supposed to do, which is opportunity zones, I would like us to go to number 3, which is consideration of possible action to approve a proclamation designating May 17th through May 23rd, 2026, Public Works Week for Coconino County. And with that, I see Public Works Deputy Director Jeremy Floyd is going to read the proclamation, and we have the director with us as well, Christopher Tressler.
Thanks, Chair Horstman. Yeah, I'm Christopher Tressler, and I serve as the Public Works Director. And I just wanted to introduce this item and say that the National Association of Public Works has identified a theme this year of rooted in service, powered by community. And as I've thought about that, really speaks to me that it's community members serving community members, from our grader operators on the BIA roads to our folks in Forest Lakes and Blue Ridge and all around the greater Flagstaff area and our county roads, that it really is our community members serving other communities. And we're excited to celebrate Public Works Day. And they talk about in the literature that it's the unsung heroes of our community service. But I think Public Works and the team feels the love, and they're not so unsung because they're recognized by you all, and we appreciate that. But Jeremy, our Deputy Director, is going to read the proclamation, and tomorrow we're celebrating Public Works Day. Thank you.
Jeremy, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the board. My name is Jeremy Floyd with Coconino County Public Works, and I'm going to read the proclamation. Designating May 17th to May 23rd, 2026 as Public Works Week in Coconino County. Christopher mentioned the slogan is rooted in service and powered by community. whereas public works services in Coconino County are essential to everyday life, supporting the health, safety, and well-being of our residents and helping make our community a place where people can live, work, play, and flourish. I added play. Whereas Public Works is rooted in service, guided by a strong commitment to care for our community through the maintenance and improvement of county infrastructure and the reliable delivery of services that people depend on every day. And whereas this work is powered by community through the dedication and professionalism of the Public Works team and the partnerships we build with residents, local organizations, and regional partners. And whereas Public Works has demonstrated this commitment through key accomplishments, including enhancing and preserving our transportation network while supporting essential services such as fleet operations, green waste, recycling, and the supporting divisions and programs that help deliver these services. Advancing sustainable and resilient infrastructure practices, strengthening operations through strategic partnerships, continuous improvements, and a commitment to safety, and investments in a strong and capable workforce. And whereas the Public Works team proudly serves all corners of Coconino County, from Fredonia to Blue Ridge, Williams to Mormon Lake, Munns Park to Kibeto, and the Navajo Nation, maintaining over 1,000 miles of roadway and infrastructure across a vast, beautiful landscape that reflects the unique character and strength of Coconino County's communities. And whereas the dedication of the Public Works team, together with continued investments, infrastructure, and operations, reflects a shared commitment to safety, sustainability, and a strong future for residents and visitors alike. And whereas the American Public Works Association has designated the week of May 17th to the 23rd, 2026 as National Public Works Week, and whereas Public Works remains committed to being trusted stewards of infrastructure, truly rooted in service and powered by community. Therefore, be it resolved that we do hereby recognize May 17th through May 23rd, 2026 as National Public Works Week in Coconino County and encourage all residents and community partners to celebrate the vital role Public Works plays in keeping our county safe, connected, and strong today and for future generations.
Yes. And that was a long one. Great job, Jeremy. I will entertain a motion before we have comments. So do I have a motion?
Moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
It is passed. We appreciate to have Public Works Week in Coconino County. And, Public Works has, you all really are the front line so much for us here in Coconino County. As we say many times, we hear more about the roads, more about the plowing, more about whatever than probably any other part of what we do here for community service in Coconino County. And you guys really rock it. You really do. From the snow plowing in the winter to just maintaining these roads throughout the year. Really appreciate all that you do. And you certainly deserve a designation of a week. You probably deserve a designation of a lot more than a week. But we're pleased to be able to celebrate the great job that you do. And I know the community members really appreciate what you do for them as well. So thank you. Other comments, members of the board? Supervisor Vasquez.
Yes, thank you. Just thank you to our Public Works team. It's great that we're recognizing you and that it's National Public Works Week. I just wanted to kind of relay something that was shared with me last week. I was at, I ran into a mail carrier, and he was just so complimentary on how well you maintain our roads during storms and how well the county's roads are plowed during the winter time. And so I just wanted to relay that to you guys, to just share that your work matters. People notice it and they appreciate it. So thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Supervisor Fowler?
I love the proclamation, by the way. That's really nicely done. Public Works, it just makes it sound like you just maintain beautiful already, doesn't even need plowing or anything, and it's all paved. No, you have really challenging roads from sand dunes to rocky to just dirt, and you really know how to fix those dirt roads. So really appreciate you for that. And then, chip sealing and always improving our roads. And then uh, Lake Mary is really special. You're all working to help the community with the high country athlete, being that this is the center for high country athletes around the world. I mean, you're all working with, you mentioned partnership, and that's exactly what we do. You all do that with Navajo Nation, with BIA. These are federal agencies and the Forest Service and the tribes that you work with, and then neighborhoods. So it's just the vastness of the communities, the diversity, and yes, all the operators are praised out there. So they're they're well known. Just want to appreciate all that you do, and just the partnership that you have had, and then just always helping us to answer questions as well. You're always there for us. So really thank you for everything you do. I don't think we can cover everything that you do, but just really appreciate it. Yeah, thank you. And yes, it's powered by the community, a great service. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Ontiveros.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Love the proclamation, and I know that I've shared it with you guys privately, but I'm going to share my appreciation for Public Works publicly, because District 3, I know we've got a lot going on. 3 of the Greenway sites, Mormon Lake, Willard Springs, and Parks, are there. All of the dirt roads in the communities that are in District 3, we so appreciate you guys. And I just want to again say thank you publicly for all of the great work that you do. Please know how much we appreciate you.
Sure. You can add, and then we'll go to Supervisor Begay.
I just want to also thank you. We had our North Rim Grand Canyon fire last year, and May 15th it reopened. Supervisor Horstman and I and Keith, we were out there and we had a tour, but you really were there for us. And then, special community events also. You're always there to help however way that the community needs assistance. And just the working with ADOT. I know it's challenging to work with ADOT, but we work with them anyway. They're our buddies. We make sure we hold their hands. So thank you. Just want to appreciate you for always being there with these disasters that we had just talked about. Every time there's any kind of event, you're there. So thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor. Supervisor Begay.
Thank you. Thank you, Chris, and the staff, all the staff members, and all the employees are out there. Whether it's hot out there or cold out there, they're out there. So that means a lot. And I just want to say and add on, through partnerships, I know that you have an IGA or MOU with the tribes, and then also working closely with BIA, and then of course, funding also, like from the state, wherever you can get monies from. So I just want to say thank you so much, because when we had flooding here in Flagstaff, it was so hard for our people to get to where they were supposed to be going because of the roads that needed to be fixed on 89 over the summit. And so, but it didn't take that long, but it took some time. But we did, and you took care of the routes way back in the boonies out of nowhere, to get people across into Flagstaff. So, and all the other work that you do, besides the roads and the grading, but we're so thankful for everything that you all do for Coconino County as a whole. It's not only District 1, District 4, District 5, or whatever, it's everybody that you guys are working with. So, and that's a big county, and we're so proud of our county, and that land base wise, we're the second largest county. So there's a lot that still needs to get done, but you guys are still in there, and spreading out yourself too thin just to, make ends meet and then address, accordingly. So I'm as I guess I'm just gonna say again is that, thank you so much. Thank you so much, and let the staff know that we appreciate them. Thank you.
And we need a picture with you all, please, if we can, with the proclamation. So just on the other side here, and real quick, would be wonderful. Thank you very much. So, given the fact that this is going to be the most mixed up meeting agenda that we've done so far. So why change now? Let's keep it all going. So at this point, members of the board and members of the community, we are going to do all of our consent agenda items. Then after the consent agenda items, we will go to item number 1, which is on opportunity zones. So just so everybody is completely confused, I'll try to give you the numbers that we are. We're now on number 27, and this is for the Health District. So I need a motion for us to resolve as the Health District Board of Directors.
So move.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? I have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. It is unanimous. We are now the Health District Board of Directors. And with that, members of the board, we have 3 items, consent agenda items. Again, these can be handled through one motion, one vote, unless you would like to remove one for individual discussion. If not, I would entertain a motion to approve the Health District consent agenda. Do I have a motion?
Madam Chair, seeing no one wanting to remove anything, I make a motion that we approve the Health District consent agenda as written.
We have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. The consent agenda is passed unanimously. Members of the board, we need to resolve back as the Board of Supervisors. Do I have a motion? Do I have a motion and a second? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We are now again the Board of Supervisors. All right, members of the board, we have a jail district consent agenda item. On the other hand, instead of us resolving, I am going to table item 30 for a later board date. All right, with that, we are now going to item number 1, you'll be happy to know. Item number 1 is discussion and possible action from the Board of Supervisors to recommend 2 eligible census tracts within Coconino County for the designation of eligible opportunity zones 2.0 program, which is a tax incentive and an economic development tool created to spur economic development and job creation in distressed communities by providing tax benefits to investors. And with that, we have our Economic Development Director, John Saltonstall, who's going to present on this and educate us a little bit about what is an opportunity zone. So please take it away, John.
All right. Madam Chair, Vice Chair, members of the board, I'm John Saltonstall, Economic Development Director with Coconino County. Thanks for the opportunity to talk about opportunity zones. We're going to briefly cover the history of this program, which has been part of our tax code for 10 years. We're going to go over some reasons why an investor would participate in this program, so we really understand how it works and how they might then participate in the program itself. We're going to look at some of the existing tracts as they are right now with our Opportunity Zone 1.0. We'll review a list of some projects that have been done throughout the country as examples of successful projects as well. Then we'll get into the changes that we can anticipate for 2.0. And all of this is going to lead to a discussion.
Lindsay knows everything around here, John.
She was going to give the presentation, but she thought that maybe I should. Thank you.
Thank you, Lindsay.
Thanks, Lindsay. So all of this is going to lead to a discussion and an action item in which we're going to, after reviewing all this information, the Board of Supervisors will have a chance to recommend 2 tracts of land to receive the designation of Opportunity Zone moving forward. And before we jump into this, I just want to say that Coconino County did not create this program, and neither did the Arizona Commerce Authority. This is a federal program, federal tax program. It relies upon census information, and I think everyone who's done any work with the census info knows that we often see something different on the ground than what a census geography shows otherwise. So as we move forward, we're going to have a chance to consider what we might be able to do moving forward outside of this program to impact our rural communities that are really in the greatest need. So with that, we'll get started. So as mentioned in the title, this is a tax incentive program. It's designed to encourage investors who have capital gains to invest in low-income and undercapitalized communities. So it really starts with helping people who have made money on investments in any number of ways to take out those capital gains and put them to good use in these targeted communities. This really came out of a tax cut program out of 2017, designed to spur long-term private investment in these economically distressed communities. Investors can defer and reduce taxes on those capital gains when they're invested in qualified opportunity funds. So there's really a lot to this program, and that's why I have my notes here, because it can get a little challenging. But if we're just going from this point on, looking at it from that tax bit, that's going to help us understand how to connect investors' funds to these tracts. This designation of 1.0, incidentally, goes through until 2028. This slide just shows some of the reasons that an investor might participate in this program. So I mentioned briefly the temporary capital gains tax deferral.
Question, your Supervisor
Oh.
Tavares?
Shoot. Yeah.
Over here. I think it's relevant at this time, but are these funds protected much like bank funds are protected by FDIC? Is there any protection of these funds for investors?
The answer is no, ma'am. So these are invested in a project that then returns a dividend and a yield back to the investors at some point, but it's not an FDIC investment. It may be a project, capital project that's built or such like that. So they're not held in a bank. They're put into an actual piece of infrastructure.
And I do understand that. I was just trying to get their secured funds.
They're secured in terms of there's an asset to secure them to.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a protection that the depositor is not making a protection at the asset.
Okay,
So-
thank you. That answers my question.
Okay. And as I get in, I will mention some of the process to go through into and create an opportunity fund itself. It's just an IRS tax form. It's self-reported, but that is another piece of the puzzle moving forward. I've got a different slide on this screen than this seems to be moving forward, but that is not.
We do, in fact, have it in our packet, and so and we have it as page numbers, so feel free just to refer to the page number, and we can follow along with you, John.
Okay, thank you. I'm on page 3. And I have listed out a few of the reasons that someone might participate in this program. I mentioned briefly that investors can.
And we have that as page 4, just so you know. So, never mind.
My goodness. Okay. This is Opportunity Zone's reasons to participate. And these here, yeah. I love technology. Technology is great fun. So the slide, I'm just going to hold this up. Reasons to participate. Awesome. Yes, this is my notes page. That's the one. Thank you. So temporary capital gains, tax deferral, you can invest in a qualified opportunity fund, and by doing so, you'll be able to reduce the tax burden moving forward. You can also eliminate future capital gains tax depending on how long you hold on to it, how long you keep that money invested in that opportunity fund. There are also what they call tax efficient basis step-ups. So if a quality opportunity fund investment is held for at least 5 years, the basis of the original deferred gain increases by 10%. If it's held for 7 years, it increases by 15%. And you can avoid deep depreciation recapture. So for real estate investors holding a qualified opportunity fund investment for at least 10 years, it can help you avoid depreciation recapture, which is usually taxed upon the sale of that investment property. So there's a lot of tax stuff. I mean, this came in the tax code. I am not a tax professional, but I can find out how to work this program, and that's what I'm here to communicate today. I'm going to advance the slides and get into this next one, which should be opportunity zones, how to participate. And so the first part of this is to identify capital gains. So you must have capital gains from a sale or an exchange of property. That's what this program is designed to do, is to give that those capital gains an opportunity to be put back to good use and reduce the tax burden on that. You then have to invest in a qualified opportunity fund. So you'll have to reinvest those gains into a qualified opportunity fund within 180 days. It's a pretty tight timeline, but it is one of those parameters on this program that's important to note moving forward. There's also the mention of this Form 8996, and this is used to self-certify your Quality Opportunity Fund. This form establishes a new fund. If you are putting your capital gains investments into a fund that's already existed, then you don't need to worry about that form. This is only for creating a new opportunity fund. And then finally, you hold the investment. And as I mentioned before, at different increments, you get a greater benefit for keeping your invested money in that Quality Opportunity Fund and holding on to an asset. One of the other things about this program is having an exit strategy, and it's typically the longer you hold on to it, the better for the investor. This is going to, let me see, I need to think about how I'm going to get out of this because I want to advance my slides, and I'd love for you to see what's on the screen. There we are.
We do have a map which shows the hatch covering half of Coconino County. Is that?
Yep, that's where I was
Well-
gonna go. It's very difficult to see and without the color. And I'm struggling to figure out how to make this effective. I'm struggling no more. So what we are wanting to show is the qualified opportunity funds as they exist right now. And on this map, as the screen shows, which is being shared, there is a large hatched portion, thank you very much, which demonstrates all of the tracts of land that met the criteria for 1.0. And the way that the Treasury did it for 1.0 is they took a look at tracts that have areas that have an area median family income that's 80% of that median income for either metropolitan statistical area or for a municipal area nearby. In this case, it's relative to the MSA, as we call it. And so as you can see, there is a big portion of Coconino County tracts of land that are covered by the 1.0. Now, there are a number of things that, number of areas that are not shown, that are not covered, and I'm just going to point a couple out. In the northwest corner of Coconino County, we have the town of Fredonia. We know that that community has some struggles. It's not in 1.0. We see Page, Arizona. That's not listed. That's not included in this particular version in the 1.0. We see that Williams is not either. I just point that out for note because it's important to see what's covered, what's included, and what isn't, especially as we move forward and think about future advocacy. I'm going to see if I can navigate back. Yep, I'm going to get back to this here. Yep. This is looking good. Okay, I think we're in business. Forgive me
And
that.
I'm going to ask you to, in some of this, like, for example, nationwide examples, we can probably go through fairly quickly. I don't think you
Yes.
need to, because we also received all this beforehand, and hopefully we've all studied it, so.
I'll summarize this. My summary is, as I take a look at this, lots of big cities have been the beneficiaries of this program, which is great for those places. We're not that. That's the simple version. So then we're getting into changes. And one of the first things is that the median income, we're looking at 70% of the area median income. So it's a little less than before. If it's not that, the criteria is poverty rate of 20% or more and a median family income not more than 125% of that AMI. So it's a combo deal here. Okay. So I went over some of those changes briefly. We have direction that state governors are going to recommend 25% of the eligible tracts. And so what that means for Arizona is that the Arizona Commerce Authority has been working with the counties in different areas to get counties, nations, and just a handful of other municipalities in Maricopa and Pima counties to provide input on the tracts of land that are in their region. So what they're doing where there is some type of overlap, they've got a whole way of determining who's going to speak to that. And the long and short of that is tribes are going to speak to tracts of land that are on tribal lands. And if they do extend on to non-tribal lands, for the most part, the tribes are going to recommend those tracts at a state level. They also have rural and non-rural tracts, but when it comes to the total amount that are being recommended, it's all the same to the governors. So as the board thinks about how to recommend 2 of these 7 tracts that are in this jurisdiction and under your purview, it's important to take a look at what makes a good opportunity zone. And the Commerce Authority provided us a lot of great information about what a good tract, a good candidate tract might look like. It's one that's ready for development. It's got water, power, sewer, other infrastructure. It's zoned and entitled appropriately. It's beneficial if it's near roads and a population center. On top of it, if these tracts have a redevelopment plan or area plans already, that would also be very helpful. So if all of these things come together, that starts to say this might be a good tract, a good candidate compared to other tracts. So moving forward, this next slide shows all of the eligible tracts in Coconino County that we need to speak to. I'm going to try and get out of here, although I'm a little scared to, and try and share that map once again. It's coming. Here we are. And I'm going to turn off that hatch so we can focus on these yellow areas within Coconino County and this small blue area shows all of our tracts that are available to us.
And I think you,
question.
yes, Supervisor Begay.
Where is that blue area near Flagstaff?
That's 5 tracts of land all through Flagstaff. So
And what might also be helpful is, I think on slide, at least page 17 that we have, you list the opportunity zone tract information. Is that?
yes. Yep.
So that might be just, because it's hard to tell where those are. And it looks like from that, it's a lot in the Flagstaff area, one in Sedona, one in Grand Canyon National Park.
That's correct. Yep. I'd be happy to jump to that slide. For sure. So when we take a look at that, and I'm going to get out of this here. All right. So on that particular table, we go over each particular tract, and we see we have the opportunity to explore the median income and the poverty rate. These are the two biggest criteria that made these parcels, these tracts of land rather, eligible. We did reach out to the City of Flagstaff and the Sedona community as well, and had a conversation with them about this program. They also had a chance to attend a number of meetings that the Commerce Authority held all over the state. And we asked them to provide us some feedback, some input on these tracts of land. And ultimately what we received back just yesterday, late afternoon and evening, from both communities is a recommendation of 2 tracts from the City of Flagstaff, and the Sedona community supported that recommendation as well. And so I'd love to tell you a little bit about what they told us for each one of those parcels, or I'm sorry, I say parcels, but it's a tract of land. They are, let me see if, does anything show up if, no. It is the top one, which is the Sedona tract. It ends in 1601. And then we skip one and we go to a Flagstaff tract. It's the 3rd one down, which ends in 1104. Then we skip one more and we go down to another Flagstaff tract which ends in 0800. So those are the tracts we're looking at that were recommended by Flagstaff and Sedona. And when I reached out to Flagstaff, we spoke with housing, community development, economic development, had them encourage them all to work together as well. Vice Chair?
Thank you. Yes, thank you. Thank you for sharing this information with us. I was just curious, is there any way to know which tracks those are on the map so we can kind of get a sense where in Flagstaff you're referring to when you give us those numbers?
You bet.
Thank you.
And just allow me to go back.
Essentially, the map is, if you think of the Perina area, from Perina, between Highway 89, 66, and 40, the industrial strip from Perina, all the way to Milton, the south side. That's one tract. And then from Milton west to Flagstaff Ranch Road, again between 66 and 40, is the second one. The two long. Nope, there are none in 5. There are none in 5 in Flagstaff. 4. 4, 1, and 2, and 3 all have pieces of those 2 tracks.
Yep.
Yeah, and just for clarification, we're selecting 2
2 overall.
overall, but there are 3 of them
That's
that are,
Cities,
we're going
we were
to be
asked if we
discussing.
to consult with the cities. That's what John did,
Yes.
pulled in their recommendations. Sedona is recommending their tract, which is a small piece on the west of the county, our county portion of the city of Sedona.
Okay,
They are recommending those two that are the 2.
That's right. And the other thing about it is our recommendation when we report back to the Commerce Authority, the ones that we recommend, we need to provide some example, some justification for recommending. So that's where the information that we received from Flagstaff and Sedona is going to be helpful, so we can give that information to you and you can weigh the merits of those projects that they're sharing with us.
You're right. I don't think, I'm just speaking for myself. I'm not in a position with what we know right now to be able to make a recommendation without more information, but
Yep.
this is good background information. Supervisor Begay.
And the one that you named off, ending in 0800, insufficient info, would that disqualify the recommendation at this point in time or not?
That would not. We don't believe that would. This is coming from the Treasury to the state, and these are the eligible ones from the perspective of the Treasury. So in this case, the city of Flagstaff responded and said that there are a number of projects that are underway or that they're anticipating in that particular area. So the one that's highlighted right here goes from the NAU campus all the way out to Nestle Purina, as Deputy County Manager Peterson mentioned. It's sandwiched there between I-40 and Route 66. And on the west end, it hits NAU, and on the east end, it is at the end of Nestle Purina's Nestle Purina Pet Care's property. And then the other parcel, I'm sorry, the other tract, forgive me, is the one that was ending in 1104. And
Supervisor Vasquez, did you have a question?
No, I'm just looking at the track 0800. That track cross-sects both District 2 and District 4 just past 4th Street. I was just pointing that out. Thank you.
of course. And so the information that I received from Flagstaff and Sedona, I will make sure that you all have copies of that. And I'd be happy to share some of that with you this evening as well. I just received it yesterday.
If you want to, if you prefer to just take it under advisement.
You know, I think we should take it under advisement. I would like to see it. I would love to get the documents from you and their statements from you. And then I think we can take a look at this. This is a great overview for us. And then with that information, I'd like to bring this back and have further, a more knowledgeable discussion from the board. Supervisor Vasquez.
Yes, thank you. Another bit of information that I think that would be useful is, one, the population base that we're talking about in those zones and what kind of economic development they have or economic impact they have for our county. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions at this point? 'Cause
When-
it's going to be coming back to us.
Yeah. When do we have to have this decision made?
ACA has asked for a decision around June 1st. So we need to provide that. We have the June 2nd meeting. I think we can meet this if we provide you some time at that meeting to be able to make the final recommendation.
It'd be good to get that.
But I just want to just point out, as John noted, there's a Sedona parcel as well. You're going to see some information from Sedona about some eligible projects down there. This is a balancing test that, we all have to look at there. Sedona has a real opportunity, given their history of charitable contribution and the kind of wealth that is available in some of that area, to potentially have some angel investors come into some of those projects. So I don't want to disqualify Sedona simply because it,
Well, no,
Sure.
I don't think anybody's
I
disqualifying
don't think
anybody
anyone
right
did, but I
now.
want you to, that's
Yeah.
part of understanding an opportunity zone is where is an investor going to
Exactly.
bring a capital
Sure.
gains to. and what kind
Sure. Where's a juicy place they want to be? So Supervisor Fowler.
It is, once again, we're missing out. We went through this before, and we didn't benefit from it. We are rural counties, and here we are missing the communities that absolutely need this and to be identified. And yet, they're not on here. They don't know our community. They just arbitrarily drew a line. And in Fredonia area, Greenhaven is included at that, and I believe that they went right to the school district, and that's the boundary that they use. So Greenhaven just wipes out all of the Marble Canyon, Vermilion Cliffs, and up to Fredonia. And there's a great need there, and it's not there. These are rural counties, and they're completely taken out. And all of the examples from the national data, and we don't know not a single project that was done within the last 10 years in Coconino County. How many have been accomplished? We objected to and advocated to have that opportunity zone readjusted back then, and it didn't happen. Once again, here we are. We're in the same situation again. We're in Flagstaff. This is where the majority of the people, they're much better off than the rural communities and Sedona. These are the well-to-do communities in our county. Granted, there are pockets of communities within the communities that need help. However, we really need to advocate for the rural communities, the communities that need help. We can't just say, yes, these two, ACA, do they really know about us? Does Kevin know? Keith know about us? This is something that we have to put on our advocacy list and really advocate to say that we can't just take an umbrella census data. Instead, go to our website. Our own website has the data, the census data that goes right down into the communities. That's what should be used instead of this umbrella where it's just the communities that absolutely need help, and they pretty much gerrymander this whole thing so those communities can't happen. These are communities that are, they're more comfortable in going to the towns, and that's great. But what about the communities that absolutely need help?
If I can, we obviously had nothing to do with the creation.
No,
of
we don't,
opportunity
but
zones,
we
and
have an
I want-
opportunity to be able to advocate, put into our list. We can't just agree and that's it.
I think that that's a very good point, Supervisor Fowler, that we do need to advocate for more. But I want to make something very clear for our communities. There are communities both within Flagstaff and outside of Flagstaff and some of our rural communities that certainly would meet the qualifications they have needing for economic development because they are distressed communities. Distressed communities are not just the rural communities. Having said that, all of our distressed communities throughout Coconino County, and unfortunately there's a lot of them, should have been considered. And certainly there are great swaths of Coconino County that haven't even been considered. So I agree with Supervisor Fowler that we should advocate for redrawing the eligible what tracks. What do we call these? So the tracks, and I'm sure we will. Having said that, we have never seen an opportunity zone really utilized within Coconino County ever. I don't know if we ever will. On the other hand, I don't want to lose an opportunity for an opportunity zone. And at this point, we have limited zones. We have recommendations from Sedona and Flagstaff. I look to really take a look at what they say and what they're recommending. And Supervisor Vasquez also, I think you're right. Let's see what the economic benefit is for the county. And I agree with Supervisor Fowler. Let's look long-term to try to get things changed in the future. But at this point, I think we need to have this brought back to us. Supervisor Ontiveros.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And if I'm understanding this correctly, the city of Flagstaff is going to be recommending the two tracks that you just spoke about, and the city of Sedona is going to be recommending the track that we spoke about.
That's correct.
They are to you. They are not recommending to the state. The state
Understood.
PCA is
Comes
taking
through
it
us.
through the
Comes
county
through
board.
us.
Got it.
Ours to them to come down to that recommendation of two tracks.
The board will have to choose,
Mm-hmm.
justifying which ones they choose.
Okay, got it. And if I may, I'm just going to kind of tag on to what they were talking about, that no one has ever seen in Coconino County, an opportunity zone has never been developed.
There was conversations about it, obviously, issues with the sawmill are for potential
Mhm.
investments, and they're still open to that.
Right.
Because they have a couple more years, but usually you see a project that's ready to go, capital gains has
Mhm.
been taken on by some investor and they're ready to dump that tax liability. And that's becomes how an opportunity zone comes together.
Okay, so choosing one that does have a high likelihood of success
Correct.
could be beneficial in actually bringing one to fruition.
And that's the task at hand.
Okay.
That's what the Commerce Authority has mentioned. It's what the Treasury is suggesting as well, because it is going to be a competitive process. Like, as you know, with any program that's developed, people want success stories. And as I mentioned, what we've seen in the presentation is there are a number of success stories in really urban areas. And so I think this is one of those tools that was made. It seems to be more applicable to those urban areas. There may be some other ways to positively impact rural areas, but I think it does come down to this advocacy piece. We in Coconino County know that we are dealing with, these large tracts of land, perhaps as they, quick side note, every 10 years now that this has been made permanent, they're going to relook at which tracts of land should be eligible. I think that is probably going to be our best point for adjusting these boundaries, to suggest that they should take a look at census blocks or maybe even block groups instead of just these full tracts, because there's too much diversity in our region economically for the tracts to make sense for the communities that need them.
What else? I just briefly, real quick, the governor will not be able to take everyone's list and just say these are the tracks. There's a further reduction of the number of tracks that the governor will then have to recommend finally to the U.S. Treasury. So there will be another winnowing down at the state.
Yes.
So Supervisor Brigay, you have a question?
Not necessarily a question, but a comment. I think we just have to get ready for it. We're going to have to start getting data. We're going to have to start looking at the criterias and just get things going, gather together data, everything that we can get our hands on for all communities within our county. And we should have that list, that for us to really consider all communities. And if there's something that's lacking out of one community, then we'll work at it somehow, to get them to get them eligible or whatever it may be. So that's what I'm looking at right now. And I think, this has been happening, and, it is true. I do agree with all the comments that my colleagues are saying. And I think we just need to start working on. I think one of the real reasons why we're not prepared is because we never had a position that would actually work on this day in and day out. But now we do, and I guess we're going to have to start looking at that. And we just need to look at the overall county and just be prepared. That's all we need to do.
Supervisor Fowler.
Thank you. We do need to submit. I'm not saying that we shouldn't. I'm just saying that once again, the opportunity zone is missing the mark. And so we absolutely need to submit something. If they're only focused on these, in the towns, well-known towns, then that's what they're looking at. They're not looking at the really helping the rural communities where the real need is there. And granted, yes, the need is here too, but the services are nearby. In the rural communities, there are no services nearby. There's no transportation services, long distance just to get any kind of driver's license, hours to drive, and challenging. And there's even Fredonia, we're still the communities. These are low income communities, all up and down. And there's been challenging years, and it's just really sad to see that we're missing the mark again. And but I do believe that if this is the direction, and they're pointing a finger at these communities where the services are nearby, then that's what we need to go by, and we need to really advocate for those to make sure that we're identified and we become part of that, on that list. But at the same time, we need to really advocate on behalf of our communities that do need those service or identified. And I mean, some kind of program that really does help, because there are no programs. What was little that was there have been cut by the federal government. So I'm just,
So, if I may,
thank
I'd
you.
love to suggest a path forward, and if that's reasonable to do, I'd love to provide to you a brief about what this charge is, so we know what's at stake. The rules of the game, the rules of the program, rather, in terms of what the Treasury is looking for from us, using the American Community Survey information, which is how they determined which tracks are eligible. I'll then provide you that list, the email correspondence from Flagstaff and from Sedona, so you can see what they think is in the pipeline, and you can determine for yourselves which two tracks will need to advance with the most likelihood of success with this program.
Can I just just briefly as well on that, as you look at those, the recommendations from Flagstaff do not limit you to just look at the two from Flagstaff. You can look at the other conditions and factors. We just need to justify whatever the factors are for our selection to the ACA. So we can go beyond the city's recommendation if you choose.
Well, at
provided
this
to-
point, we have to see what they're recommending.
understand that.
Yeah.
So
So
I just want you to be
and
aware.
as I said, I think this needs to come back to us for further discussion. And I know we have a hearing,
Yeah.
so I think that at this point, the best use of our time would be to get the information from you, take a look at what the recommendations are from Sedona and from the city of Flag. If we have questions, we can seek you out, John and also Eric, and be prepared for further and a little bit more knowing discussion at our next board meeting on this. So I mean, we don't want to lose out on an opportunity, although those that could probably benefit most from the opportunities are already being left out because they aren't part of the parcels. Supervisor Fowler.
And include the detailed map. Where is it? These locations that are identified.
Absolutely.
Do that. And this is also a live map. We'll have a link so you can go right to it.
All right, anything else, John, or we'll hear from you later?
We'll be back.
All right, good. Then, members of the board, we're going to move on. We do have a public hearing this evening. We are now on item 31. Public hearing, consideration, and possible adoption of ordinance 2026-02, approving a change of zoning regulation in a planned community zone from CH 10,000 to modified RM 10A with approval of a master development plan, resolution 2026-23, approving an 80-lot subdivision preliminary plat, and resolution 2026-27, approving an associated development agreement on 11.2 acres in Belmont, located on the north side of West Brannigan Park Road and west of the Pilot Travel Center at the Belmont exit off Interstate 10, identified as assessor's parcel number 203-47-003A, 203-47-004F, and we aren't done. And resolution 2026-26, approving a development agreement with property owners for the reference development. The applicant is Tim Campbell of Queen Creek, and the property owner is Lonnie C. McCleve and Deborah R. Revocable Living Trust of Queen Creek and Utility Source LLC of Queen Creek. That must be the longest agenda item I've ever read. But anyway, this is going to be community development, who's going to lead us through here. And I believe that this is all within Supervisor Ontiveros' District 3. Is that correct? All right. So with that, it looks like we have community development. Jay Chrisselman.
You start.
Madam Chair, I think you went through about half the slides with that presentation intro, so thank you for that.
You know, anytime you want me to read the agenda, just let me know. It is a long one. All right, there we go.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thanks. And you aren't Jay. You're Jay. You aren't Jess.
Jess had a family emergency. He's been in Texas for the last few days. Thank you.
We're happy to see you.
Oh, thank you. Likewise. As mentioned, you went through all of this information in the introduction, but I can add that the greater overall northern Belmont area is PC planned community standards with CH commercial heavy 10,000 square foot minimum standards applied, and the parcel is right about 11 acres. The request is zone change from, excuse me, frog in my throat, from the PC, which I just mentioned, CH 10,000 standards to residential multifamily 10-acre maximum units per acre. And the approval of a master development plan, and the project is for an 80-lot duplex subdivision. So this got some history. The zone change was actually recommended for approval unanimously by the Planning and Zoning Commission back in 2001. There were some delays regarding a floodplain issue. 4 units that were located previously in the floodplain have just now been eliminated. There's 80 units now, so there's no development in the floodplain. There's also been activity on the east side of the pilot with the current townhomes that are being built. Those are nearing completion. And Darren is our applicant. He's here with us today. So those have been constructed. Now that those are nearing completion, the developer is moving towards this location. A traffic study with our public works engineering professionals has been worked on, as well as a development agreement for the traffic improvement, or attenuation, I should say, cost share. That is subject to that area. I think I just skipped a slide. Nope, I didn't. Okay, here's the greater, you can see the blue, the 2 parcels there. That's the area, 2 parcels in question. This is a more blown up version of those 2 parcels. You can see the skinnier one to the east is where the current water distribution center is with the standpipe. That is staying as is. It's permitted by right, which is obviously a very contributory item to the community. So that is not being affected as part of this zone change request. Now, this is a picture from the larger parcel to the east, showing where the water tower and the standpipe are located, in addition to the pilot truck stop. And if I'm going too fast, please ask me to slow down. There's a lot of slides in this stack. I can get through them pretty quickly. Again, the proposals for an 80-unit duplex, each on an individual lot. There are a number of amenities that are included that will all be facilitated by the HOA, along with the private streets, private sidewalks, all within an HOA. They won't be county facilities. And then again, the portion that parcel to the east that has the tanks and the standpipe is going to remain. Now, this slide is included just to show that the RM10 standards are modified for this proposal, just because of the variety of the lot sizes as part of the duplexes, and it'll be easier to show that when I get to the plat, which of course is the next slide. So you can see some of the northern lots, for example, are very long and narrow, but the ones to the west are shorter and wider. So that's the need for the varying lot size for the standards for RM10. Now, some additional modifications to the zoning code that are being requested are a 7-foot, well, of course, outdoor lighting is required. Shielded lighting is required for every project with the lighting ordinance that we passed, I think, about 3 years ago now. And again, the existing uses that are permitted by right on the eastern portion of the parcel with the water tower and the standpipe, again, are remaining. Now, there's a 7-foot 2-inch modification being requested for a corrugated metal fence along the east side of the duplex development to screen from the truck stop. 6-foot 8-inch along the north and west property. That's more of a wrought iron type of fence. And then a 6-foot masonry wall fronting the property on Brannigan for sound attenuation. Now, here's another view of the preliminary plat. You can see, and we highlighted this one because there's one primary entrance. You can see it with spandrels there on Brannigan. but to the far east, the last, I don't know if also, anyway, the farthest east duplex, there's an emergency access ingress and egress right there. So we wanted to highlight that there are 2 entrances and exits to the subdivision. Here's a fencing plan just for illustrious. And you can see what they're going to look like that I just described in the location of them. Also the landscaping plan. We show this because there's a significant screening through the landscaping plan, predominantly on the east where the pilot is and off of Brannigan. There's near complete screening there for this project being proposed. Now there's an entry gate and a mailbox bank, as well as it shows the type of shielded light fixtures that are being proposed. So that is what the entry monument will look like off of Brannigan. Here are some of the amenities that are being proposed. Again, they will all be administered and maintained by the HOA. So there's a park with a play structure, barbecues, ramada, waste stations, and picnic tables. And you can see in the graphic and the site map where those will be located in the park, which is rather central to the development. Here's a proposed cross section. You can see it's grade separated in the middle. That's where the entry gate, the entry monument gate will be. There is no sidewalk, or excuse me, there's sidewalk on one side on this street detail, and there's the sidewalk on the other side of the street on the other street detail. We'll get to that in a minute. So this is what the interior streets will look like. The sidewalk there you can see on the left-hand side. They're all private streets, so they will not be maintained or into the inventory of county public works. This is the culvert underneath Brannigan that extends across I-40. So this is the floodplain area that the 4 units were removed from. The Planning and Zoning Commission did see that version of the project that had the 4 units in the floodplain. Those are gone now. This culvert is aligned right with the very western side of the project, and the water drains around it to the left side. So there's nothing in the floodplain in the proposed development. Now this is interesting. So that was a prairie dog burrow. So our ordinances require the removal or relocation of prairie dogs if they're found on site. They were 5 years ago. They're no longer there. Our urban wildlife planner went and inspected the site, and there's no evidence of the prairie dogs. So they left or got the plague. I don't know, but there are no prairie dogs there currently. So there's no relocation effort required. We have to bring that up. It's an important topic for a lot of people. So now these next few slides are illustrative due to the fact that there are many goals and policies in our plans, both the comp plan, the Belmont area plan, as well as the Flagstaff regional plan, that support this project. So this is just illustrative of some of those. Public safety, there is a Ponderosa's main fire stations just down the road, land use growth, and natural environment, protecting a floodplain, for example. The regional plan, there is support from the regional plan because part of this development falls within the regional plan's activity center, but not this particular proposal. So there is support among the Flagstaff regional plan, which I believe goes to the voters very soon. Was it today? Holy cow. How did I not know that? So it was today. Timely. Belmont area plan, same thing. This was updated, I think about 7 years ago, maybe 6. Also supports rezonings that are outside of that rural activity center, and a map here in a moment will show the parcels that are in the activity center. This is supported by the Belmont area plan, excuse me. And a single family residential would complement the existing development that is in the greater Belmont area. Continue to policies that promote the project through the Belmont area plan, which was one of our newer area plans that we've updated. We've got some more to do. This is what the development's going to look like. They're all duplexes. There are no more attached than 2. Anytime that 3 or more units are attached, their sprinklers are required, so there won't be that with this project. Some of the northern lots I pointed out, the ones that were longer and a bit thinner, narrower lots, some of those actually just have single car garages, but they do have full length driveways or accommodations for, in this case, 4 cars off street, excuse me. So the candy striped areas there, that signifies the activity centers. This does fall outside of it. So again, the policies of the Belmont Area Plan do support a rezone at this location. It is a down zoning that currently has commercial heavy 10,000 square foot minimum zoning standards, and this is a request for an RM10, so residential multifamily, 10 units per acre. So it is a voluntary down zoning. Any questions about the land use map this is updated recently from the area plan. Citizen participation. Now, this goes back to 5 years ago when it was at the Planning and Zoning Commission. The notices did go out to the two different HOAs that were there at the time, the townhomes and the single-family dwelling units detached. And 4 people attended the meeting. Those in attendance at that time were supportive of the additional residential development in the greater Belmont area. They do tend to be a little bit lower cost than other areas in our region, just because there are duplexes and the townhomes that Darren has built out there. A question was regarding, and I don't remember this, but the question was answered regarding the garbage truck emergency access. I think that's why we highlighted the plat that showed that there was that egress, that secondary egress, so that folks, just in case something were to happen, there's another way in or out of the subdivision. Findings for a zone change is consistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the comp plan. In this case, also the Belmont Area Plan and our zoning ordinance. The change will not be detrimental to the public health, safety, comfort, convenience, and welfare of the community. That the change will not adversely affect the established character of surrounding neighborhood, nor be detrimental to adjacent properties. We also have these 5 findings for the subdivision plat, because this is a request for both a rezone and a subdivision, because they're on individual lots. I can read through those if you need me to, but those are the findings for a preliminary plat approval. And the recommendation is the Planning and Zoning Commission does unanimously recommend approval of the zone change and the subdivision preliminary plat through the ordinances and the resolution 1 and 2, in addition to a development agreement that's attached as part of the ordinance that identifies the cost share for the traffic attenuation. And with that, I'm happy to take any questions.
This is a public hearing, but we haven't opened that hearing yet. Now is the time for the board to ask any questions of staff. Then I think we're going to hear from the developer. Is that correct?
Let him speak in? Okay.
All right, good. So at this point, any questions of staff? It doesn't look like it, so we'll hear from the developer a little bit, and then we'll open it up for the public hearing.
Hi, Darren Smith. I work with Finesse Properties, Tim Campbell, the developer out there. Yeah, I just wanted to, be here in case you guys had any questions for me. And, just state we've been out there, working hard to try to create affordable housing. We all know that's very difficult, especially in northern Arizona. I'm not going to stand here and claim that these homes are extremely affordable, but considering what is around Flagstaff and around town, it's definitely getting close to affordable. And that's our goal, is to get homes that are going to be, working class homes for school teachers, nurses, things of that nature. Like Jay said, it definitely fits within the general Belmont plan. We're doing everything we can to help with the traffic issues. I know that's a big concern from the residents out there, the roundabout. I know the county's done some redesign work, engineering, traffic analysis, and we're also helping fund that with these developments. The only other major issue that I've heard is the water resource out there. I know we've done some studies that say that we've got 100-year surplus once the whole area has been built out, and we're still not built out. There's still available land, so I don't find the water to be a major concern. With that, yeah, I'll answer any questions you might have.
Do we have any questions at this time of the developer? Doesn't look like it, so But but stay around. We're
All right.
not through.
Yeah.
And we appreciate you being with us, appreciate the information.
Yep.
And at this time, we are going to go ahead and open it to a public hearing. Members of the public, you have heard now from both our staff and the developer on the proposals. And now is the time to hear from the public. And it's our time to hear your comments as part of this open public meeting. And I'm going to ask our clerk of the board, Lindsay Daly, to explain to the members of the public how they can join us and be heard at this public hearing on this zone change. So, Lindsay.
Thank you, Chair Horstman. At this time, if there's anyone that would like to provide comment on this public hearing, item number 31, you can make your way up to the podium now, and we'll provide you 3 minutes to speak. If you're watching on the stream, you can email your comment to boardcomments@coconino.az.gov. And if there's anyone here that would like to come on up, and then if you can state your name for our minutes, we'll provide you 3 minutes. And then once the light goes red, that means the 3 minutes is up.
Thank you. My name's Suzanne Martin. I've lived in the Flagstaff area for near 50 years now. I've seen development. I've been in the Belmont area for 7 years. A big part of the reason we went out there was for the peace and quiet and the seclusion. I sent a letter, I don't know if it was received, with my concerns for this development. The traffic, I don't know I hope all of you would take the time to go out to that area and see what that exit and entrance looks like with the roundabout. I actually live west of the pilot, so Brannigan Park is my way home. I am diverted to go into the roundabout, to go back the opposite direction to get home. And if you are familiar at all with the area, you're well aware of the 18-wheelers that get stuck there continually. I've heard there's already approval for another truck stop directly across from the pilot. I can't even imagine what that traffic would bring to our area. The snow and the closures, we have had people trying to avoid or being pushed off and running down Brannigan Park onto the dirt road, trying to connect to parks and skip traffic. We've had 5 semis stuck where they had to go back all the way around to parks, pull them out one by one. We had no exit. As Belmont neighbors, they have the emergency access to get out of the neighborhoods is a big issue. I've gone to those meetings detailing all the potential options, which sounded like it could be an 8 to 10 year plan, and that the money definitely was not available at this point, whether it was another exit added at the east side of the Belmont home area, to changing the roundabout, changing the traffic yet again for the 18-wheelers coming in and out. Another 80 homes, I'm going to guess, is another 160 cars coming in. I don't see a turn lane option. That's just traffic backed up with a gate having to wait to get in. Unfortunately, I love the idea of affordable homes for teachers and all that. What I see is that turns into rentals. And so not even 2 cars, maybe 3 cars. College students are moving in there and filling those homes out. And that's what I've seen in Flagstaff, unfortunately. So the intentions are good, but the reality is different. So the emergency exits, but on and off. And then I'm fear for setting a precedent for changing a commercial lot into a residential, and then the remaining lots down Brannigan Park, which I believe are owned by one developer, and what that could do for more housing when people's arguments seem to be, let's get some businesses out there, some restaurants, and all we're doing is taking that up and losing that opportunity as well. So any questions or concerns that you guys would have to my comments?
Any comments or questions, members of the board? No,
Okay.
and I know your address. I know you're out in that near their roundabout, but just for the record, would you mind providing your address?
Yeah, it's 1612 North Transwestern Pump Road.
Thank you. Really appreciate that. Really appreciate you being with us, and we appreciate your comments this evening. Any other comments from members of the public?
You can just please state your name for the minutes, and we'll set the clock for 3 minutes.
Elizabeth Carlin. I live at 4545 Povo Road.
in the Flagstaff Meadows 3. Good evening and thank you for your time. I am here as a Belmont resident and an entrepreneur. I have owned and operated businesses over the last 15 years, and I wanted to speak in support of this housing because I believe it's connected to something many of the residents say they want in our community. They want more local businesses and amenities, not just a truck stop. So I've seen many of the conversations online where people are saying they'd love to have things like a grocery store, coffee shops, restaurants, and other conveniences in Belmont. And I completely understand it because it's things that I would like as well as a resident out there. Operated businesses for many, many years. You have to have enough people, you have to have enough economics to make these businesses work and thrive. So as businesses go into these places, they have to have enough economic stability to go in there. And with Belmont being small, the opportunity to make it more viable for businesses to take the risks and go in there requires more people. So I think this development really supports the community's desire. And I do hear people worried about a lot of some of these other things, like the water and the traffic. But knowing that there's plans for the community to have those things coming, it's the influx of development that creates the money to make those changes. If we don't grow as a Belmont and or as a community in Belmont, why would the county be giving us more money to create the stuff that's been proposed? So I think that the development is actually supports the long-term plan that you guys have put together, and it supports the desires of the community members. They just may not understand the economics behind businesses going in and thriving versus, going belly up. There also seems to be, what I'm hearing online in our local community is some confusion that some people don't understand, like the water studies out there. People are concerned about water. It's a very fair thing to be concerned about. I live there, I want water too, but they may not be aware of the fact that the study's been done and there is what sounds like sufficient water. So I think sometimes the flow of how development occurs feels uncomfortable for people, and that's where some of their concern comes from. But if we as a community want to have some amenities, the grocery store, the coffee shops, we have to have people to support them or those businesses won't last. So I just feel like based on the desires that I hear, everyone I talk to, oh, we would love a grocery store. There's a lot of people who want those things out there, but I don't know that they understand the economics behind businesses coming in, which I have a lot of experience with that. So I'm in complete support of having some more housing out there. And I hope that the county will continue to support creating, addressing some of the concerns with a long-term development and making it a sustainable, wonderful place to live. I absolutely love living in Belmont. I had no idea how much I was going to love living out there. So what would make it better is a few more amenities. And that's why I'm in support of the housing. So thank you for your time tonight and thank you for your service.
Thank you very much for your comments. Are there any other comments on this public hearing?
You can please state your name for our minutes. We'll set the clock for 3 minutes.
Emmett Gonzalez, also resident of Belmont, 45.
If you can get closer to the microphone.
Well, thank you all for letting me have a moment here. I just kind of want to point out some of the things that have been shared as well as by people here and one of our HOA presidents out in Belmont. There is, of course, concerns with traffic. Of course, even with all the signs, we don't have people adhering to what they should be doing. And it's gotten progressively worse as things have been developed. And adding a separate flow of traffic for residential is going to kind of exacerbate that same issue, especially when there isn't a definitive plan, as it would seem, for what's going to happen with the off-ramps future state. We don't know what that's going to look like. I don't know if the traffic study was done prior to the completion of Flagstaff Meadows, as well as the new townhomes that are out there. I feel like that might play a role in how future traffic needs to be determined and appropriately addressed. As far as our utilities out there, water service is just kind of outdated. It's currently a hassle for any of the issues that we do experience on
reoccurring basis, whether it's just water pressure or availability, cost, getting even a hold of people. This could just, again, perpetuate that same problem, as well as access to utilities and resources. Like our CenturyLink internet provider is about the only mainline service, unless people want to use Starlink. That's just not well supported right now in Belmont, as it's continually gotten worse and worse service as there has been more expansion. I do want to say that I feel that the community out in Belmont is in favor of future resources and access to services, but this is not what they are looking for, as there's already the flow of potential customers, not just within the Belmont area, but people coming in from Flagstaff, the Grand Canyon, Parks, Williams. So there is that potential to generate economic revenue without having further expansion that could be, as previously stated, bought up by people who are using it as a second home or rental properties and not actually contributing to the community. Talking about building this for nurses and teachers is great, but the reality is it's not necessarily going to happen. It's already an existing issue within our communities out there, and it's driven quite a few people away. So I just want to highlight that that isn't necessarily a benefit to the people out there, especially as we see the affordability of these houses continually increase and for less and less, right? What you get out of what the money you're putting into it is just progressively less valuable, but the money keeps going up. So I do just want to highlight that as well. Time check. I want to ramble on too long. Okay.
Just hit.
Sweet. Thanks.
Can you confirm, was your name Emmett Gonzalez?
Yes, that is correct.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for being with us this evening. Appreciate your comments. Any other members for?
If you could just state your name for our record. Thank you.
My name is Stephanie Carlo. I'm also a resident at Belmont and have general concerns with being out there for the past 5, almost 6 years. We have seen those traffic issues, the lack of adherence to the current traffic flows that we have with the roundabout that is relatively new. We had a traffic study done a presentation done in January 15th of 2025 that actually went over different options of what we can do if we have a second freeway exit for the east side of all of the developments, so that we do have a little bit better of a traffic flow, but we have no idea when that's even going to go into play or when that's going to happen. I think the biggest issue with this is adding more traffic now is, even with the new condos or the new townhouses that are getting developed, we're going to run into that same issue and have even more adherence problems. We, like Emmett had mentioned, we, have issues with CenturyLink and fiber and all of that infrastructure that they have. I've spoken with CenturyLink, and they've admitted that their infrastructure cannot support even the community that they have now. So it runs into an issue of then having even more homes and, more bifurcations from that line to really have that support and the coverage that we need. A lot of us out there work from home, and, we really depend on having those resources there, since we are a little bit, out of town and don't have the availability of going to, a coffee shop in town to be able to get our work done if our internet goes down. The last thing I wanted to mention was, mentions of that businesses not wanting to come to Belmont because of that lack of economic stability. But we do have Parks, we do have Williams, we do have all of that traffic going to the Grand Canyon, going to Williams from Flagstaff and vice versa. We do have even all of the drivers for that commercial area for the pilot. They wouldn't probably mind having more, access to any facilities there as well. I think changing this to residential isn't going to help the benefit then that the existing community and even the expanded community can have if we are taking away options to provide more services and actually have businesses there. So, and that was my time. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate you being with us and for waiting for so long. So I appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Any other members of the community like to be heard? Anybody online?
No, Chair Horstman.
This is a public hearing. We're going to wrap this up in just a few minutes and close our public hearing. So we're going to give it another 30 seconds. Members of the community, anybody here or anybody online? Since there is not anyone online and there's no one here, at this point, we will close the public hearing on this matter. And I'm going to turn to my colleagues to see if anyone has any questions or comments on this. Supervisor Ontiveros.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I was actually on the Planning and Zoning Commission when this case was unanimously approved in 2021. And one of the questions I have, it was actually brought up by Mr. Gonzalez during his public comments, and that was the traffic impact study. I'm not even sure if it's for Mr. Chrisselman or Public Works, but the traffic impact study that was done at that time, did that take into account all of the additional development that has taken place since then?
Thank you for the question. Madam Chair, members of the board, my name is Nate Reisner. I serve as the county engineer for Coconino County. The answer to that is yes. So when we did the traffic impact analysis for the Belmont area, we looked at what was currently developed and what was planned for development. Everything that was planned for development included this proposed development, the townhouses that are currently being built, the storage facility that's currently being built, the coffee shop that's currently being built, the Speedway gas station that is being proposed across from the pilot station, along with some commercial development that's a little bit further to the west of this this proposed development, this neighborhood. So yes, the traffic impact study did include all the proposed impacts and traffic generators that are being looked at today, and then things that aren't currently developed.
Okay, and so I just want to state for the record for clarification that when that traffic impact study was done, it was done taking into account this rezone going from commercial to residential.
Yes, ma'am. It was, so when we looked at the traffic impact study, we didn't ever look at it as being commercial development because of the zone change that was already, or not zone change, but the thing that came to the Planning and Zoning Commission of the proposed development was always looked at as this residential housing.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
I believe in the traffic impact analysis, there's 85 homes that were, or residences that were a part of that traffic impact analysis. So they've reduced it down to 80. So it's actually having a little bit less of an impact than what was originally looked at in the traffic impact analysis. And then with the development agreement, the traffic mitigation proportional share was based off of everybody's traffic that's being proposed to being generate and the cost. And we looked at the percentage of each development and the cost of the proposed improvement, and assigned a percentage based off of the percentage of traffic, the percentage cost based off the percentage of traffic. And that's what's included in the development agreement.
Okay, and I understand that. And when you talk about proposed not development, but I guess proposed
Mitigation.
traffic mitigation. Thank you. What is that?
Yes, so that traffic impact analysis recommended a dual lane roundabout from the Burgess and Nyepel study. More recently, we had Parsons, a different consultant, look at the traffic out in Belmont, do another analysis, and the recommendation right now is also a dual lane roundabout at the three-legged intersection of Brannigan, Shadow Mountain, Hughes Avenue, and then converting the existing roundabout into a dual lane roundabout from a single lane roundabout.
Okay. And so do we have any timeline on when that might be done? Because I do understand, and I also just want to state, because I know that there has been mention about the plans, and these are way down the road for a separate interchange. That is way down the road, and I do want to acknowledge that. That's why I'm looking for what is more probably realistically going to happen. So if you could talk about that in the timeline, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah. So when we've recently looked at the traffic impacts of the proposed developments, we looked at when we think everything is going to start looking at a level service of F. So the traffic movements at the intersection failing. We took current conditions out there today. Everything operates at an acceptable level of service. Most intersection movements operate at a level of service A or B, with one during peak hour times, with only one movement between all the county intersections and the traffic interchange. Only one movement operates at a level service of D, which is still considered an acceptable level of service, which is the eastbound off-ramp making a left towards the pilot station. That's the only movement that operates at a current level of service of D. With the growth of traffic, we had Metro Plan model, the traffic off the regional traffic model, and we are expecting a year 2035 when intersections will start failing. So right now, what we're looking at doing, the ADOT intersection or interchange design concept report that's being updated right now for I-40 is recommending a new traffic interchange to the east for phase one portion of the project, and relocating the existing traffic interchange about a half mile to the west to make that separation from the choke point of the Brannigan Park Shadow Mountain intersection, because that intersection is way too close for the interchange. And with the truck stop right there, that's where our real bad bottleneck happens. So the first phase is going to be a new traffic interchange to the east. We're looking at we just submitted the changes of access report to ADOT this past week. Once that comes back from ADOT with no more comments, we submit that to Federal Highway Administration, and we can then, once they approve it, we can go into final design. We've submitted for a bunch of grants for final design, which is about a $6 million project, which will include that traffic interchange along with the intersection improvements on the county frontage roads. So once we get into final design, we'll be able to start applying for federal grants to start constructing both the interchange and the roundabouts. Right now, the interchange final design and the intersection final design, we've submitted a request for congressional directed funding. That project has been recommended by Senator Gallego and Senator Kelly, thank you. Kelly's office as a priority project to move forward in the Transportation Committee. So right now we're waiting for hopefully that to move forward. If for some reason that doesn't start moving forward, we're going to be dropping the interchange from the county moving forward with it in terms of a county project. We'll still be pursuing grant funding to try to get the interchange going, but we can start working on final design of the county intersections itself. Because by 2035 is when we expect to need to have all of the intersection improvements done to not see a level service of F on all of our intersection movements.
So it's almost 10 years, really, that before this interchange. Hopefully, if all goes well, it'll be approximately 10 years.
Correct. Yep. We just had a public meeting 2 weeks ago where we provided an update on the traffic interchange, and then once the report is finalized and accepted by Federal Highway Administration, we'll hold another meeting specifically just for the interchange out there in Belmont.
Okay, and actually I do remember this case coming before the Planning and Zoning Commission. There were a couple that did. Um, it's not relevant, but I'm surprised it hadn't come to the board. I was a little surprised when I was reading through my packet that it hadn't already gone before the board. So I'm glad that I'm familiar with this. And I clearly remember traffic being a real concern of that. And basically, we were told the same thing then. So 2035, and these are calculations that engineers rely on. It's not just opinion. I mean, what I'm saying is correct, right?
Correct. Yep. So we rely on Metro Plan. They run a regional traffic model for all of Metro Plan's area, which includes City of Flagstaff, Stony Park, and the Belmont area. So they work. Our planners work with the engineers in terms of what type of developments are there, the traffic generations of those developments. They put them into a model, make assumptions on the improvements that we're going to be having, and then they run models to see how the traffic flows and the degradation of the traffic that we see based off of the new developments, the new traffic that we have in the area, and then the improvements that we either have or don't have.
Okay, and I think this will probably be my final question. So you see, based on all of that information that you just outlined, I guess, predicted that that intersection is going to start failing in 2035. That's 9 years from now. So with that information, you don't wait till 2035 to actually start construction of it. You would have it ready to go in 2035. Is that correct?
That would be ideal. That would be ideal that we would have it ready to go by 2035. That doesn't always happen because of funding. But ideally, yes, we would have those improvements ready to go by 2035.
Okay.
Yep.
So I have a question as well. And, many of us have been out in that area and have been to that roundabout and have seen some of the difficulties already that are occurring. And you're talking about the failure of it by 2035, and there may not be a interchange in place before the failure. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
And so my question is, and I see that the Planning and Zoning unanimously has approved this. Our staff has unanimously, our staff has approved this. And yet there seems to be a real concern about traffic flow out there, which, we want housing. Housing is really important for us here in Coconino County. This is the kind of housing we would want to support, but we also want to make sure that it's safe for the people who live there, and that we are providing the necessary infrastructure so the people can adequately travel to and fro their homes and to that area. So I'm concerned, why is everything is unanimous, that there's a recommendation for this, but there does seem to be a problem with the traffic flow.
So
Traffic impact, I guess, is what I should say.
right. So in 2035 is when we're expecting most of the development out there to be built out. These residential facilities don't generate as much traffic as a commercial facility. So what's really driving the degradation of the traffic would be another gas station, another speedway, fast food restaurants out there. So those are much higher traffic generators in residential developments. And what we do is we look at when each individual property is coming online, we have them do a traffic impact analysis. We have them look at their site impacts, and then we look at our traffic impact analysis that we've already done and see where we're at within terms of how much traffic is being generated. And that's kind of how we determine when we need those improvements made. We are working with these developers. Normally what would happen is a developer would come in, and if everything works in a good level of service, when they would come in, like this development wouldn't have any traffic impact mitigations if we didn't already have this recommendation or this traffic impact analysis study for the whole Belmont area, because their development wouldn't have any negative traffic impacts in terms of driving anything to a failing level of service. So the next development that would come in would have to look at redoing the whole entire traffic analysis to see if they required any mitigation by driving the traffic impact levels of service to F or below. If they did, they would have to build those improvements. So with what we've done here is we've identified all these developments that are coming in. We've identified a mitigation that we want to implement that will best operate with the types of traffic that we have out there. And then as these developments are getting built, they're providing money back to the county so we can implement those projects when we get that money.
Doesn't apply to the development before us. Is that correct?
The development before us, they are providing money in towards those traffic mitigations. If they were to come in right now, we didn't have this study that we're relying on to show us that with all these developments, level of service fails, what we would end up doing based off of how our current traffic impact analysis and mitigation requirements work, as the same way City of Flagstaff does it and the same way ADOT does it right now, is we would allow development to come in up until failing level of service. Once a failing level of services, then that particular development has to fix everything that everybody else has already contributed to. That's the way the current traffic impact analysis works. So what we're doing right now is making everybody pay in towards the impacts that they're having. Makes more sense. Yep.
Supervisor Ontiveros.
Okay, and I'm going to make a statement and tell me whether you agree with it or not, okay? Because we have to make this decision. The Planning and Zoning Commission had to make the decision on 3 findings of fact, and this board, of course, has to make the findings of fact, okay? And finding of fact number 1, I can easily make. Finding of fact number 3, I can easily make. And I believe I can make finding of fact 2, and this is why. So it talks about that the change will not be detrimental to the public health, safety, comfort, convenience, and welfare. So my biggest concern is public, I guess, exit, should something go wrong at that area. This is going to be, and I know this area well, so this is going to be on the west side of Pilot. So residents coming out, if there was an emergency, would be coming out, and if they wanted to hit the interchange, would start going east, and they would not have to go through that roundabout at all. They could immediately turn right, get on 40, and go the direction that they're being directed to go. Or they could go west down the Brannigan Park Road and get to Parks and exit that way. So this community would be able to have 2 different access. In fact, I'm almost thinking that it would be easier for this, in the case of an emergency, it would be easier for this proposed development to exit quicker than even the ones that are already established.
Yes.
Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that because you don't have to make any left turns.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. And it does have two ways to get out. I want to state that for the record as well. They can go west to Parks or immediately get out by turning right onto 40.
Right. I will say we don't model that in traffic engineering. We look at peak hours. So we look at usually what we call an AM peak hour and a PM peak hour. So you have traffic generated for a development throughout the entirety of the day. But usually we see a rush of traffic in the morning and we see a rush of traffic in the evening, coinciding with times that people are going to work and coming home. So those are the times that we analyze our AM and PM peak hours. And the way we get those is we actually put traffic counters out. Usually they're cameras at intersections. We'll put out and we'll count traffic for a period of time, whether it's 24 hours, 48 hours, or a 7-day count. And we'll be able to see over that period of time when we have the peak amount of traffic, and traffic's counted within a 15-minute period. So we have a 24-hour day broken down into 15-minute periods. So we're able to see where we have that one peak hour in the morning and we have that one peak hour in the evening. And that's where we set our traffic analysis for. So in an emergency situation where everybody might be leaving at the same time, we don't look at that in terms of the traffic impact modeling.
Okay, and I will agree. I'm very familiar. I've been through that roundabout. I mean, a countless amount of times. Saw the whole thing, saw the development of it, and I hate to say it, but I hated it to begin with. And I don't know if I've just become used to it or what, but it doesn't bother me to the extent. But I don't want to mitigate the concerns that the public has spoken of tonight, because I've seen everything that has been described. I in fact have seen and experienced. I've been through there when it's been crowded, and then I've been through there when I could just felt like I was the only person and could zip right through there. But I clearly remember when I was on the Planning and Zoning Commission, my biggest concern was the public health and safety and being able to evacuate in case of emergency. And we have to trust the science that you guys, the science and the studies that you guys are putting out to have that sense of comfort.
Yes. So one thing I would like to address in the roundabout is I lived in Belmont from 2009 to 2011 before the roundabout went in. The pilot truck stop, the way traffic moved through the area then, they came off the ramp, then they went straight into the pilot truck station to gas up. There was multiple times over a course of a week throughout the year where you could not get home to Belmont. You just couldn't do it because traffic would be back up all the way on the interstate. And when you have queues of traffic backed up on the interstate with mainline traffic going 75, 85 miles an hour, that's a very dangerous situation, more so than when we get the few backups that we have in the roundabout right now. When the roundabout was first opened up, I didn't work at the county. I worked at ADOT at that point in time. But we watched the impacts of that roundabout take and the new circulation of pilot and taking the trucks off the interstate down Shadow Mountain Drive and then towards the back and rerouting the truck traffic really improved the traffic flow into the neighborhood. There was about a year period, and most of the time with new roundabouts that are in a residential area or an area that doesn't see international traffic or traffic that's transcontinental traffic, you usually see about a 6-month period where people get used to driving that roundabout. This one took about a year, and we really see that in terms of the backups that we saw on this roundabout on Shadow Mountain. It took about a year for people to learn, especially truck drivers, to learn how to maneuver this roundabout. The county did make quite a few improvements to the truck apron to allow for better mounting of the apron, which we want the trucks to mount the apron. And then we put a traffic camera up about 2 years ago, so we're able to see when we get people saying, hey, there's been a 20-minute delay because a truck is stuck at this location. We're able to look at that camera throughout that period of day. I think it's set on every 5 minutes we get a picture. We can reduce that time period if we're when we're having snow events and stuff like that. But over the last couple of years, we really haven't seen that huge delay that we did within that first year of the roundabout being installed.
And again, I would have to agree with you, because I watched this roundabout, for lack of a better term, evolve to what it is now. And I know you actually kind of hit it on the head when you said it took about a year for people to get it figured out. And I was being honest when I said when it first happened, I did not like it. And again, I guess it's grown on me, where I've gotten used to it. But I've also, in addition, heard from other people in the Belmont community that I might just randomly ask, what do you think about the roundabout? And they're like, no big deal. So I think it's something that not everyone is going to love it. Okay. And I get that, but I do know, and I can personally attest to what you're talking about, because I saw it in real time, because I've been through here for my whole life. Yeah.
So one thing that also we're looking at doing with these proposed improvements is converting the roundabout from a single lane roundabout to a dual lane roundabout, which will allow for more truck maneuver within that roundabout, and also adding a through lane on either side of the roundabout, between the, basically the frontage of Pilot, on either side of the road, both eastbound and westbound, adding an additional lane. So this will allow more traffic to move through to bypass some of the Pilot gas station truck traffic, and for residential neighborhood to kind of get around the truck traffic going in.
Okay, and I promise this is my final question and comment, but you guys are, it's not like if this is approved tonight, it's not like you guys are just going to walk away. You guys are going to be consistently watching this intersection here and monitoring it, so you know when triggers are going to occur, which is, you know what, we've got to do something.
Right. So community development and public works, we work pretty closely in terms of what's coming up in terms of development. And we look at the traffic impact analysis to see where we're at in terms of how much of the development has been implemented based off of what we're expecting. And we're looking at traffic numbers. We just did traffic counts last year, and see that the levels of service of all the intersection movements and interchange movements are operating at acceptable levels of service. So this 80 lot development or 80 duplex development really shouldn't have a big impact. We might see levels of service drop slightly, but not too failing levels of service.
Okay, thank you for that. I just really needed to, pull that information out for this board to understand, and also for the residents to understand. So I thank you very much, Mr. Reisner, for that information.
Yeah, and once we have the traffic study done through ADOT for the traffic interchanges, we'll have another public meeting out at the fire station for the community of Belmont, and explain the project, explain what we're doing in terms of trying to get implementation done as well.
Okay.
So Supervisor Vasquez, you've got some questions?
Well, I did have some questions, particularly about traffic, but you covered most of them. I did also have those same concerns just about increased traffic, but it sounds like the models took that into account in the development of this development. And so my other questions, I guess, would be, one, what are the contributions of the developer to the infrastructure that's going to be needed to be able to accommodate this development in that area? And I think that's more for the contractor than for you, but if you can elaborate on anything that related to that, that would be helpful. Thank you.
So for the traffic mitigation contribution, I think it's right around $600,000 for their contribution to the traffic mitigation, and I believe that's being assessed per building permit that they're pulling. Is that correct? Yeah. So per building permit that they pull, they have to pay into that traffic mitigation fee.
Great, thank you.
As part of that, we have put in a time frame for the county to start acting on implementation. So if the county, once all the development fees are accepted, if the county hasn't done something or spent that money for traffic mitigation within a certain period of time, I think it's 20 or 25 years, I don't remember off the top of my head, then that money is then returned back to the developer. So that puts a time frame on us to make sure that we try to get something done.
Well, we definitely don't want to have to give money back, so
Nope.
please be sure to invest that money.
I don't like giving money back to anybody.
They need the work done, is
Yeah.
the bottom line.
Yeah.
So,
I have one more question, and I don't know if this is for you or this is for the developer, but I wasn't clear, if this development goes through, what's the timeline for the houses to be built, and at what point will we see this traffic impact on the Belmont community?
Thanks again, guys, for seeing us. The site is pretty low. We've been moving in dirt for about the last year, I guess it's been. We've got about probably a year and a half's worth of dirt work just to build up the site, build the pads and everything. So we're probably looking at about 18 to 24 months before we even start construction on any of the homes. If this gets approved tonight, I would say that we're looking at breaking ground on the infrastructure part of it in 6 months, probably in the spring. So what's that, 9 months from now? Just under a year, we would start moving dirt and building the pads, and then we would have about another 6 to 9 months of that work before we started construction. So I'd say, again, an easy 20 to 24 months before we had homes that were ready to sell.
And then my follow-up question would be, so, and I guess this part is for Nate, on the traffic part. Did the models take into account that, you know, you're saying that the roundabout's the infrastructure in the area is gonna fail in 9 years. Well, if you remove 2 years, that means there's 7 years in there. You've analyzed that and the increase in traffic numbers, take that into account before the local infrastructure begins to fail?
So we assume that the full build out will be about 2035, and that's about when we would see the full build out is when we would see the
Not just this development, but other developments.
of
is what
all
you-
the
yeah.
developments that are available in Belmont, not just this development. Yep.
Great.
So if it takes longer, then we wouldn't see. If it takes longer to develop, then we wouldn't see the levels of service fall kind of proportional to however long it takes to do a full build out of the Belmont.
Great, thank you.
Supervisor Ontiveros, you have follow-up?
No, my question was actually answered. So thank you.
All right, any other comments, question? I do have a comment to make, and somebody, I'm not sure, raised this, and that is, you know, you need to know this board's been very concerned about short-term rentals, and you know, for the same reasons that much of you have indicated. And we, as a board, have done what we can, consistent with state law, on our oversight and management with short-term rentals. But we are not in a position, nor can we ask, that short-term rentals that we can't eliminate them. In fact, we have very little control over our short-term rentals, except for permitting and hopefully notice and a few other things. So, so we do share your concern, because we do need housing. We do need places for our teachers and our firefighters and police and county workers, and just people to build their community there in Belmont. And we also recognize, like across Coconino County, that when it gets heavy on short-term rentals, you lose that sense of community. They aren't giving back to the community the way a resident does. So we hear you on that. I'm sorry our state senator is no longer with us, because I'd want her to hear this. You know, it's a state legislative, it's a state statute, and it's one we will continue to lobby to change. So we hear you on that, but please understand, we've done what we can, and what we can do now is try to lobby the legislature. We'll continue to do so. So any other comments or questions, members of the board? Supervisor Ontiveros.
Thank you for pointing that out, Madam Chair, about the short-term rentals. And we do feel the residents' pain, and we have advocated very strongly to get regulation to help address this. But I just want to let everyone know here tonight that that is not something that this board can take into consideration when we are making the decision tonight. So I just want to share that with you guys.
All right.
Chair Horseman, if I can just clarify for the record, the agenda title references towards the bottom resolution number 2026-26. There is no resolution 2026-26. That should be 27, which is already referenced towards the top of the agenda title. So the documents involved is ordinance 2026-02, resolution 2026-23, and then resolution 2026-27 is the development agreement.
Thank you for that clarification. Any other comments, questions, members of the board? At this point, we have heard from the staff. We have received the Planning and Zoning Commission's recommendations. We have also heard from the developer. We have heard from members of the community in Belmont. And we now need to be making a decision with regards to adopting ordinance 2026-02, approving the zone regulations in the plan community zone, and also approving the master development plan and approving resolution 2026-2023, 2026-23, approving an 80 lot subdivision preliminary plat, and also approving resolution 2026-2027, which is a development agreement, which we do have before us. So before we can do that, we do need to make a finding for the zone change. We have the 3 questions that we need to be able to answer to make the zone change. So I'm going to ask members, my colleagues, if they feel they can make those findings. Supervisor Ontiveros.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll go ahead and start this tonight. As I stated, I can make the 3 findings of fact necessary for this zone change. And that is after thoroughly addressing number 2 that states the change will not be detrimental to the public health, safety, comfort, convenience, and welfare that I discussed at length. I'm going to say at length with our county engineer, Mr. Reisner. So I just wanted my comments to be on the record as to why I could make that second finding. With that, I can make the 3 findings necessary to approve the zone change tonight. Yes, I can make those findings as well.
In light of the comments made by our engineer, I also can make the same findings. I am concerned about the traffic flow and the traffic impact, but I have to rely on the information that's being provided to us by community development and by the recommendations I am hearing. I also have heard that there are 2 emergency accesses that will, in fact, assist in the health safety of in the case of an emergency. So I have to say, concerned about the traffic impact, but I can make those findings as well. Can also make the findings for the preliminary plat. And I note that this has been well thought out by the developer. And I note the importance of adding housing to our communities. And am hopeful that we will continue to, with all due speed, to try to get a new interchange there. Any other comments, questions, members of the board? And if not, I would entertain a motion.
Oh, I'm sorry. My microphone was not on. Let me restate that, please. I would make a motion that we approve ordinance 2026-002. Just 10. Let me start this again. Make a motion that we approve ordinance 2026-02, change of zoning regulation to approve the master development plan and modified RM-10/8 zoning standards.
How about approving resolution 2026-23?
Okay, I was going to do that. I didn't know if you wanted to handle it in 2 completely separate. Alrighty, then I will make a motion that we approve resolution 2026-27, the 80 lot subdivision preliminary plat. Did I get that right? Oh. Okay, so.
And
Yeah.
it's also the development agreement too that needs to.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, okay, thank you, Ms. Lane.
Please.
Okay, please do.
I do not speak loudly enough, I think, to go without. So the motion would be to adopt ordinance 2026-02, approving a change of zoning regulation in the planned community zone CH 10,000 to modified RM 10A with approval of a master development plan. To approve resolution 2026-23, approving an 80-lot subdivision preliminary plat, and to approve resolution 2026-27, approving the associated development agreement on an 11.2 acres in Belmont with the property owners for this development.
Okay, so I'm going to make a motion as stated by our legal counsel.
Very good. Is there a second?
Second.
And any further comments, members of the board?
Yes, please.
Yes.
I just want to state for the record that going in and reviewing the proposal, I did have some concerns on transportation and with the traffic issues and some of the infrastructure issues and some of the timeline, just the timeline in general. Based on the staff recommendations, our county engineer and our community development, that I have gotten my concerns answered, and with that, I will be okay moving forward. Thank you.
Any other comments, members of the board? Otherwise, we have a motion and a second before us. All those in favor of the motion as read, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
It is unanimous. So, and thank you for all that were here. We really appreciate your patience and your time spent with us this evening. We heard your comments. We will also work with community development to try to go with all due speed to get some of those traffic concerns taken care of. And we are going to continue to work with the legislature to try to do something about short-term rentals. So thank you so much for being here with us this evening, and thank you for your input. Thank you, sir, for being with us. All right. Well, I know we can either take a break or we can adjourn. Is there any reason that we cannot adjourn?
Chair, members of the board, we do not have anything to discuss. We are prepared to forego the remaining items on the agenda.
Okay. All right. With that, you ready? With that, we're ready to adjourn. We're adjourned. You know, it's just crazy.